West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't understand what's
agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
Lord bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
It is 6 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Tuesday. News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Congratulations, you're waking up in the greatest country in history. Let's get after it. We got an entire show planned for you of engaging conversations, critical analysis, but most importantly, your phone calls and texts, because this is where Denver's voice is heard loud and clear. So grab a cup of coffee, Denver, and let's dive into the issues that matter most to you right here, right now. Coming up after news and comment with Blake Olson, Donald Trump calling for the release of Tina Peters from prison. We'll get into that and more. 7 o'clock hour, Rory O'Neill's going to join us. Is it real estate? Is it gold? Is it stocks? Where the experts are saying is the most reliable place to put your money. Talk to NBC News national correspondent Rory O'Neill on the latest, plus $1,000 and a plane ticket out of here. We get into the latest offer from the DHS to get illegal immigrants out of America. Student loan repayments are kicking off again. Plus, King Soopers rated one of the worst grocery stores in the nation. Plus, Brittany Pedersen calling for RFK to continue to fund Narcan. So, lots to cover today. Most importantly, we want to hear from you. 303-696-1971 or text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line at 720-819-5115. Now it's time for your morning dose of Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, 45 degrees, mostly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 53 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story, Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, i.e. globalist, visits the White House today for a meeting with DJT. Carney said he'll fight for the best deal for Canada and only accept the best deal. Tough talk from the lefty who makes Europe his home, and he'll put the EU first. I guarantee you that. Here's DJT.
I don't know if he's coming to see me. I'm not sure what he wants to see me about, but I guess he wants to make a deal. Everybody does. They all want to make a deal because we have something that they all want. We have something that they all want. China wants to make a deal very badly. You see what's happening to China. China's being decimated, and I don't want that to happen. But they have to make a fair deal. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year. We were losing $5, think of it, on our trade policies with Biden.
No doubt. And as Jeff mentioned, DJT on Truth Social last night, he says radical left Colorado AG Phil Weiser ignores illegals committing violent crimes like rape and murder and instead jailed 69-year-old Gold Star mother Tina Peters, who worked to expose and document Democrat election fraud. Tina is an innocent political prisoner being horribly and unjustly punished in the form of cruel and unusual punishment. This is a communist persecution by the radical left as they cover up their crimes in 2020. DJT also says, I am hereby directing the DOJ to take the necessary action to help secure the release of this hostage in Colorado. Free Tina Peters now. Denver police are still investigating a Sunday night shooting in Lodo. It happened on the 1900 block of Market Street around 9 o'clock. All 4 people injured by gunshots are expected to recover. No arrests have been announced.
7 seconds left. Westbrook, 5 seconds. They're down by 1. Gordon got it! Aaron Gordon with a deep shot. Williams, three-quarter court. No good. The Nuggets steal game 1. That's a winner for Aaron Gordon.
Wow, the Nuggets were down big. The 12, 10, 8, 6, 7, back and forth they go, and they come back in the final seconds of the game, down 1, and they take one from downtown instead of going to the rack. Aaron Gordon, 121, 119. They lead Oklahoma City 1-0 in the second round of the playoffs. New York AG Letitia James leading a coalition of 19 other attorneys general in suing to block the 47 administration from dismantling the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. She called the mass firings illegal, dangerous, and cruel. James says those at risk include children, working parents, seniors, foster families, those who struggle with mental health and substance abuse, and first responders, trying to get people on her side after she committed fraud. Allegedly. A third suspect has been arrested in connection with a murder case in northern Colorado. The Weld County District Attorney's Office announced charges against 3 people. Investigators believe 49-year-old Gerardo Hernandez Lucio was shot and killed in Weld County in April. His body was then taken to Larimer County and set on fire beneath a bridge at a picnic area off Colorado 14. Isaac Valdez Salvador and Juana Espino are both facing first-degree murder and conspiracy charges, while Monica Lopez Silva faces charges of being an accessory and tampering with evidence. News brought to you by Lair Fireplace and Patio, Denver's premier source for everything fireplace, patio, and grills, locally owned and operated since 1954, online at lairfireplacepatio.com. 43 in Arvada, 42 in Castle Pines, 45 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710. I almost forgot what I was going to say. News Talk 710 KNUS.
A storm system to our south will pump upslope winds into the front range today, tonight, and into early Wednesday, bringing more occasional chances of rain and thunder today, tonight, and tomorrow. Upper 40s and near 50 today with occasional rain, a little bit of thunder. Rain tonight, fog, lows near 40. Showers will continue Wednesday, highs near 60. Warming to the mid to upper 60s Thursday with a few showers, warmer for Friday and the weekend. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Well, good morning to you. Donald Trump posted on Truth Social about Tina Peters, Phil Weiser yesterday. Now, if you remember, he had called the Department of Justice to look into the Tina Peters conviction, see if there were any errors there, those types of things. Well, last night he posted this on Truth Social. Radical left Colorado Attorney General Phil Weiser ignores illegals committing violent crimes like rape and murder in his state and instead jailed Tina Peters, a 69-year-old Gold Star mother who worked to expose and document Democrat election fraud. Tina is an innocent political prisoner being horribly and unjustly punished in the form of cruel and unusual punishment. This is a communist persecution by the radical left Democrats to cover up their election crimes and misdeeds in 2020. The same Democrat Party that flies to El Salvador to try to free an MS-13 terrorist is cruelly imprisoning, perhaps for life, a grandmother whose brave and heroic son gave his life for America. Colorado must end this unjust incarceration of an innocent American. I am hereby directing the Department of Justice to take all necessary action to help secure the release of this hostage being held in a Colorado prison by the Democrats for political reasons. Free Tina Peters now, Donald Trump writes. Now, if you're asking the question, why can't Donald Trump just pardon Tina Peters? Well, it's because she wasn't convicted on federal crimes. She was convicted on state crimes. So that would require Jared Polis. But from my perspective, this is a pretty compelling case, as we have brought up time and time again, even if you believe that Tina Peters was rightly convicted, a 9-year sentence in a state where you can rape a child and get probation. Well, that just doesn't seem right. And in this case, he also brings up the fact that Democrat Party leaders are flying all the way to El Salvador to meet with guys that don't have a great record, who we have documented cases of the spouse, for instance, with Garcia, claiming that she feared for her life, that he was being violent towards her. You have badge cam video of what seems to be like he might be trafficking people. And so in this case, Democrats are willing to fly all the way down to El Salvador to demand his release, to come back to America. Yet Tina Peters faces a 9-year political or 9-year prison sentence. So Donald Trump now trying to step in to perhaps tip the scales in her favor. What do you think Donald Trump's doing here? What are your thoughts, Bill?
Yeah, this is dumb. This has no more factual or basis in reality than his claim of putting tariffs on foreign movies. It's that stupid. If you go through his Truth Social post, does he offer any factual basis for overturning the verdict at all? None. He doesn't offer any factual basis, nor does he say that the feds have any power. So if you're a person that has ever talked about the idea of the separation between states' rights and federal rights, you can't be in favor of this, because this is the federal government overstepping states' rights. The feds have no place telling the state what to do in this case. None. They have no way to affect any change. The feds have no power. That Donald Trump can decree whatever the hell he wants. Doesn't matter. And again, it's all emotional. He makes no factual claims about what was wrong inside the case. He just likes to spread a lot of innuendo and rumor about Phil Weiser. Phil Weiser, who didn't actually prosecute the case. They did have people from his office that did work on it, but the charges were brought by the Mesa County DA, who's a Republican, and went through a Mesa County grand jury, mostly Republicans. And then she was convicted by a Mesa County jury, mostly Republicans. So where's the nefarious Democrat actions in this one? Where is it? And if we're going to talk about Garcia, fair. What has he been convicted of? Yeah, exactly nothing. That's the thing. Garcia hasn't been convicted of anything. So it's a horrible analogy. You can sit there and say, oh, the Democrats support this guy, but not this person. Okay, so what? But at the core, Tina was convicted.
So what?
Yeah.
You got a 69-year-old woman sitting in prison.
She was convicted by a jury of her peers. convicted. You and I both disagree with the sentence. That's different than saying she was railroaded and wrongly convicted. Donald Trump is saying she was wrongly convicted because of Democrat lies, and she wasn't. There isn't a single thing that is factual about his Truth Social post. Not a single damn thing that has any real relevancy to the case. She was indicted by a grand jury of her peers. She was convicted by a jury of her peers. Yes, the sentence is egregious, but it doesn't mean she wasn't guilty. Doesn't mean she didn't have her day in court, which is exactly the opposite of the example he gives with the gang member that is alleged that went to El Salvador. That's exact opposite.
I mean, with regards to his wife, those were court proceedings.
Okay, but so now we're deporting somebody for domestic violence.
Well, no. But you said they didn't have his day in court.
No. But we're talking about him being a gang member and human trafficking. Because if you're talking about the idea that he was convicted of domestic violence, I'm sorry, but domestic violence versus what Tina Peters did, those are on different levels. Those are completely different.
One's violent.
Wait, Tina Peters was in charge of an office, turned off security cameras, involved a larger conspiracy, brought in someone who shouldn't have been there in the cover of darkness, took information out of computers and tried to take people in her office to take computers out of a secure location they shouldn't have been allowed to. And the entire time she and Sharona Bishops tried to hide this. That is a different level. That is a conspiracy. Being violent is one thing.
Hurt?
Being violent is one thing.
Who got hurt?
Hold on. Wait. So your delineation is violence?
No. Well, I'm
your delineation is violence.
Along with Donald Trump, I'm pointing out that you have actual people being harmed. For instance, a child being raped in Colorado. And what was it, 60, 70% of the folks that are raping children are going out on probation? And
so
then
change the rule.
And in this case,
change the rule. Change the law. Change the law. Who cares about Tina? Change the law. No,
we're talking
about
this.
It. I know. We are talking about this.
He's pointing out
who
a difference, and I think it's a valid difference.
No, he's not talking about the rapist at all. That's you.
No,
he's not
but he's also pointing out that Phil Weiser ignores illegals committing violent crimes like rape and murder in his state, and we have plenty of other examples of this state ignoring violent crime while putting a 69-year-old Gold Star mother into prison for 9 years. That's a valid critique of the state.
No, not of Phil Weiser. Phil Weiser didn't put her behind bars. She was indicted by the Mesa County District Attorney. And yet Donald Trump goes after Phil. That's why it's a bunch of BS.
He's the chief law enforcement officer.
But that's why it's a bunch of BS. I know, but he didn't file the charges, did he? No, he didn't. Those charges were filed by the DA in Mesa County.
He was involved in the case.
Yes, but that's not my point. Phil Weiser didn't start this case. Phil Weiser didn't prosecute this case. Yes, they assisted, but it was started. The indictment was created and filed by the Republican District Attorney in Mesa County and was sent to a Republican grand jury in Mesa County, and she was convicted by a jury in Mesa County. Where the hell is Phil Weiser in that? Where's Phil?
I think he's all throughout that.
Where? Show me.
He's part of the conviction. He's part of the whole team. And then once Tina got convicted and sentenced, he's out there spiking the football. There's all these statements.
Sure, he's playing politics on it. Absolutely, because he lost his ass in other.
Doing here? He's playing politics on this too.
Thank you. Exactly. That's exactly it. That's why it's BS. It's exactly my point. Yes.
Phil Weiser.
It is complete BS.
No.
Yes.
Phil Weiser's playing politics. Donald Trump's playing politics. But the point, he's got a valid critique here.
No, he doesn't.
That the state of Colorado is ignoring very serious crimes while prosecuting the hell out of Tina Peters and then sentencing her to 9 years.
Again, I can agree with you that the sentence is excessive, but does Donald Trump talk about that? No. He doesn't point to an excessive sentence. He does talk about the idea, maybe it's been life in prison. So the issue being, though, he targets the idea that it was a wrongful prosecution. There's nothing that shows that. There's nothing that shows that Phil Weiser started this nor filed the paperwork. He assisted, and we don't know if it was the Mesa County DA or if he pushed himself in there, but again, doesn't necessarily matter because it was the Mesa County elected DA that started the charges. It was the Mesa County grand jury that indicted her. It was the Mesa County jury that convicted her, not Phil Weiser, not the judge. Not the judge that everybody runs around saying, just a liberal in a judge's robe. Don't care. The judge didn't convict her. We can agree that the sentence is excessive, but that has zero to do with Donald Trump, and he offers no factual basis for this. None at all. This is crap, and he can't do it.
I want to hear from you all. 303-696-1971. Is Donald Trump right to weigh in here? What do you think he's trying to do at this point? You remember, he's called his Department of Justice to already do an investigation into the trial. The judge is allowing, this was a recent decision, allowing the investigation to continue into the trial of Tina Peters from the federal government's perspective. So why do you think he's stepping in now? What do you think he hopes to achieve? Is this just one of those late afternoon, it was 6:12 p.m. yesterday when he posted this, just kind of thought that it came to Donald Trump? Or is there a broader strategy behind this? Should Tina Peters be freed at this point? Even if you believe that the conviction was just and she shouldn't have been doing what she did, has she served enough time, especially in light of some of the other problems? Or is 9 years a just punishment for what she did? Want to hear from you, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115, 720-819-5115. And if you do believe she deserves to serve 9 years, please help square with me why the state of Colorado allows child rapists out on probation, but Tina Peters has to serve 9 years. All right. Are you ready to transform your kitchen or bathroom into a stunning masterpiece? Look no further than The Art of Granite, your premier destination for exquisite granite, marble, or quartz countertops. For over 15 years, Mitch Floria, the owner of The Art of Granite, has been crafting and installing custom countertops, fireplaces, showers, and more. Their team of experts will guide you through the selection process, ensuring you find the perfect stone to match your style and budget. Visit their showroom in Golden or browse their online inventory at theartofgranite.com. Discover the endless possibilities for your home renovation project. All you got to do, listen to this, folks, mention KNUS and get a free bathroom countertop with new kitchen countertops, or choose a free kitchen or bathroom sink with any countertop package. Don't wait. Transform your home into the oasis you deserve. Schedule your free consultation with Mitch today. All you got to do, visit theartofgranite.com. That's theartofgranite.com, and mention KNUS for those exclusive savings. Transform your kitchen or bathroom dreams into reality with The Art of Granite. Again, visit theartofgranite.com. Lots of text messages on both sides of this. Go, Jeff. Cry harder, Jeff. Literally text messages one after the other on this. Would love to hear from you. Please join the conversation. Donald Trump calling Phil Weiser a radical left Colorado attorney general, ignoring illegals, committing violent crimes like rape and murder in his state, and instead jailing Tina Peters for a 69-year-old Gold Star mother who worked to expose and document Democrat election fraud. Want to hear your perspective. Again, phone line 303-696-1971. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Donald Trump yesterday evening posting about Tina Peters calling for her to be released. I am hereby directing the Department of Justice to take all necessary action to help secure the release of this, quote, hostage, unquote, being held in a Colorado prison by the Democrats for political reasons. Free Tina Peters now. Is Donald Trump right to do this? Is this a sign he might be running out of options, right? He can't pardon her. He's called the DOJ to investigate. Why now? What is the point of this? Is he just raising her profile? Tina Peters is someone that sought to help Donald Trump. And so he's coming to her support, her rescue. And do you think it's unjust? 9 years. Even if you believe that the conviction was right, in a state that allows child rapists to go out on probation, right? And in Donald Trump's mind, Phil Weiser ignoring illegals, committing violent crimes like rape and murder in the state, but instead a 69-year-old Gold Star mother's got to serve 9 years in prison. Let's talk about it. Let's go to the phone lines. Tony Littleton. Good morning, Tony. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. I actually called to talk about another issue with you, but I'll at least respond to this quickly, and that is, you don't have to believe everything that Donald Trump says or writes. He talks about Democrats. This is all Democrats, and it's been pointed out to you, this was all Republican action. His referral to the MS-13 guy, that's been, Donald Trump had to sit across from a reporter who had to explain to him that those MS-13 symbols on his fingers are photoshopped on there. So there's a lot of things that aren't true.
MS-13, but the actual tattoos weren't photoshopped.
But he was arguing about the letters and the numbers. He was arguing that it said MS-13 on his knuckles, which is that is calling attention to the fact that you were wrong about something in the first place. That was a really strange moment.
But the tattoos though are there?
But
there's
his
actual tattoos on his knuckles,
but there are questions about whether those tattoos actually reference MS-13 or not. The question is that Donald Trump was referring to the picture, not Donald Trump, Terry Moran, the reporter, was referring to the picture that Donald Trump held up where it had MS-13 superimposed over his knuckles. And there were a bunch of people that ran around on social media, including Donald Trump, saying he has the letters M and S plus the number 13 tattooed on his knuckles.
No, I think it's a debate over whether or not those tattoos indicate whether or not. He's got those tattoos on his knuckles.
Hang on a sec. I know, Jeff, but if you listen to the conversation, Trump says no, he has MS-13 on his knuckles, the M and the S and the 13. He's saying the letters M, S, and 13 are on his knuckles. In that exchange with Moran, that's what Donald Trump is saying. He's wrong about that.
But this idea that there's no MS-13 on his knuckles, though, that's not true either.
That is debatable.
Yes, that is debatable.
It is debatable because we don't know, and here's the problem we have with that. Gang experts have said, some have said, yeah, it's an indication. Some have said no. The problem that most gang experts come to is that MS-13 does not like hidden tattoos, meaning they don't want you to have to interpret the tattoos. No, hang on.
Guys,
this is important. This is important to this.
Okay.
And the issue being that MS-13 wants big, broad, bold tattoos. You want MS-13 on your body. The issue being that there is question, and that's what Terry Moran says, about the interpretation of the tattoos. But what Tony is saying is Donald Trump argued that the letter M, the letter S, and the number 13 were on his knuckles. That is not factually true.
The point being, and Donald Trump's exactly right, is you guys are crawling over broken glass for an MS-13 terrorist, and yet you're willing to put Tina Peters in prison for 9 years.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Donald Trump was pushing back on something that is not objectively true. It's like walking outside and saying, Donald Trump says, in my photoshopped picture, the sky's green.
Guys,
and everyone says the sky's blue and the sky's green.
Flying to El Salvador to try to rescue this guy.
None of that matters when Donald. None of that.
It absolutely matters.
None of it matters when the core of the argument that Donald Trump went back and forth with Terry Moran over was on images that do not appear on the man's hand. Donald Trump believes they're there.
We're literally debating the tattoos on a guy's knuckles.
No.
We're like
No,
dissecting
we're not.
this.
No, we are debating.
In a prison
we are debating.
for 9 years.
We are debating the idiocy of the sitting president.
That
he looked at a picture. That he looked at a picture and thought it was real.
He's exactly right about this. Look at you guys are like picking apart the tattoos on a knuckle.
No, that was him. He's the one that showed the picture, and he was wrong about it. And he tells,
about it.
And he tells, no, we're not fighting at all. It's the idea that he's the one that fought about it. He's the one that went back at Terry Moran. Terry Moran tried to diffuse that conversation over and over again. Donald Trump is the one that made it an issue. That's why it's important. It's not liberals, Democrats, myself, or even Tony making it issue. It was Donald Trump that insisted the M, the S, and the 13 were on the knuckles.
And flying to El Salvador. Okay, Tony,
go
ahead.
Airplane.
I want to shift gears with you. I want to ask you about a different issue that's going on in the press. Not much attention, really. You remember 5 years ago when that Karen gal went into the park and called the police on the black bird watcher, and it just destroyed her name. I mean, now Karen actually has a meaning outside of a female's name, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that case? That was 2020. Well, in the past week, we've had a situation in Minnesota where a mother and her toddler on her hip, apparently a 5-year-old kid got into the diaper bag and took something, and she proceeded to call him, get your hands out of there, you little N. He was black. And somebody caught it on film and said, "What did you just say to this kid?" And then started pressing her. Have you heard this story? Have you heard this? Are you aware of this?
A little bit, yeah.
And now there's a GoFundMe, and she's got a ton of cash.
So she tried to defend herself and got kind of irate and so forth. But I thought, oh man, when I read that, I thought, oh my God, here we're going to destroy another female name. It will never be used again because this is going to just go nuts. And then yesterday I hear she sends out a thank you to MAGA for donating $500,000 to her GoFundMe page. And so my question is just basically, have we changed that much in 5 years? That 5 years ago she would have been a Karen. Today she's a hero of MAGA.
Yeah, I mean,
how do you square
Tony,
that?
I've seen fundraisings on both sides of people doing bad crap. So I don't know. There's a lot of idiots out there. Tony, appreciate the call.
Yeah,
thanks so
for the
much.
call.
Tony's line will be open. All right, let's go to we got time. Let's go to Joe in Arvada. Good morning, Joe. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Morning.
Good morning, Jeff, Billy. Look, I do think after, we've looked at it for years, there were some, decisions made by Tina Peters that I think everybody would acknowledge were poor decisions. However, her intent was to save our country. And she was also railroaded by a leftist bunch of commies. So here's the thing. I know you say they were Republicans, but I'm sorry. Smith, the Republicans here in Colorado aren't, in my opinion, conservative.
But
anyway,
it was in Mesa County, Joe, hang on a sec. That was both a grand jury and a jury in Mesa County. Two separate groups of people, and they both said, yeah. One said charge her, the other said she's guilty. And that's people, and those are voters
I don't deny
in Mesa
that
County.
she was found guilty, Billy.
By voters in Mesa County.
I don't want to. I don't want to argue with you about whether she was. I think she was guilty of poor decision making by an official. In that case, we should give the electric chair to Jared Polis and also Budweiser or Phil Weiser. The point that I'm making is that as an elected official, I think she made some poor decisions, especially the one where she brought in the guy under false pretenses to get into the machines. I think that was a mistake. But 9 years? We're letting pedophiles go. What in the world is going on with the judge railroading somebody for 9 years? I'm sorry. Again, our elected officials now should be getting the electric chair. under the same kind of decision-making by this judge. Think about it. We have 100,000 illegals on the voter rolls. Where's the charging for our current Secretary of State?
Well, I'm not sure we have 100,000 on voter rolls, but again, it's that judge. And if we're talking about the idea of judges and the criminal justice system letting illegals go and letting rapists go, then it would be fair to look at that judge's record. And I don't have that judge's record. But
I think we should look at that judge's record.
But Joe, the issue being, if that judge is letting rapists go with probation and putting Tina in for 9 years, now we've got something. But if a judge in Denver is letting a rapist go and the judge in Mesa is sentencing Tina, that's not necessarily analogous.
If that judge has been spitting on the sidewalk or jaywalking, he should get 10 years.
But again,
what kind of justice system do we have?
I know, but we're ascribing motivations and beliefs to someone that we don't know anything about it. And again, in Mesa County,
we know what
and
happened
the judge,
in the Tina Peters case.
Yeah, that she was convicted by a jury. No, she was convicted by a jury, and she had the opportunity.
Okay, like I said,
she had the opportunity to present her case.
If you get convicted for jaywalking, you should get 5 years. Right?
No, Joe,
give me a break.
She helped pick the jury. She was allowed her day in court, and she was convicted by a jury. That's important here. That's really important.
I understand what you're saying. She should have got maybe 30 days. Maybe. I don't even think she should have got 30 days. She should have got probation with her record. But here's the thing. It came down from on high, and they delivered the axe. That's
who came
what
down
happened.
on high? Because
All of the liberal establishment decided to make Tina Peters a prima facie case.
So Joe, help me understand this one. So you're saying that someone, I'm just assuming that you're saying someone like, Phil Weiser and Jared Polis came to the Republican DA in Mesa County and gave him marching orders?
I'm talking about the judge.
Oh.
The judge
didn't convict Tina.
It's just like
Judge didn't convict Tina. That doesn't matter.
It's just like what we see in the rest of the Colorado establishment, Billy.
But the judge didn't convict
whenever
Tina.
There's a liberal cause, all of a sudden the justice is thrown right out the window. We don't have justice here in Colorado because we have communists running the ship.
No, what I'm hearing from you, Joe, is that every time I disagree with a court ruling, it's obviously communist. Has zero to do with the actual court case or anything else, just has to do with feelings.
Pedophiles are being released.
If we feel bad about it, it's obviously liberal and communist and a plot to destroy the country.
Maybe you don't understand something, but part of communism is getting pedophiles released.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah, and we've seen Polis do that, and we've seen and the Mesa County DA did that, and the Mesa judge, and no, none of that happened. But that's okay.
Well, I wonder if that judge has released any of these folks. Maybe we should look at what he's done on the other side. When there's a leftist being prosecuted, let's see what Mr. Judge has been doing on that side. Have you ever decided to investigate that?
I do think,
I'm not assuming
that
he's
we're kind of
like
speaking prior to the results of the investigation, which is kind of why I raised the question why Donald Trump posted this, right? Because DOJ is looking into this. Maybe there was
I think what he's upset, he's frustrated because he can't go ahead and offer her a pardon. He should be able to.
Like
Jared Polis obviously isn't going to offer a pardon. Now, why is that,
actually,
Billy?
Because she hasn't requested clemency. No, she
Give
hasn't.
me a break.
No,
Jared
Joe,
Polis wouldn't offer her clemency if it was his own daughter because she's a Republican.
Joe, you just asked me why not. She has to ask for it. In my understanding of the process and
Jared
procedure.
Polis come out and tell us why he won't offer her anything?
Okay, so
9 years.
Okay, so
hey,
now,
Jared, where were you on all of these criminals that are getting out?
So obviously, it's liberal Jared.
Where have you been?
When Tina's not asking to be let out of jail and not requested anything from Jared, he has to take the affirmative and say why he's not doing something he hasn't been asked to do.
Does he ever say anything about the case? No, it's all behind closed doors.
That's dumb. Joe, I mean, seriously, you're asking him to say something about something that hasn't been asked of him yet. That's just dumb.
He shouldn't comment on the Tina Peters case. It's a political prosecution.
According to you. And you wanted to comment because of political prosecution.
Here's the thing. According to every conservative, but you're not one, brother.
Yeah, I'm not a conservative. No, I've never said. I've never held myself up as one. No.
We all know.
Yeah, I know.
Bro.
And I'm proud of that. Yeah,
but
bro,
you
I'm proud
don't
of
think
that.
you're a liberal, and you are,
no,
buddy.
I'm not. No. Have you heard me go after Mike Johnston? Just yesterday, I went after
That's
Johnston.
hilarious.
You can laugh all you want, Joe.
I do have this question, and this comes from a
Mike
text
Johnston,
message.
Denver stuff, yeah.
This is a fair question on the text message is we prosecute the hell out of Tina Peters for what she's done with regards to election stuff. How did Jenna Griswold avoid any form of prosecution?
Exactly.
Intent.
Here, listen. This is the simplest question.
Intent.
How many hundreds of thousands of illegals?
It's actually in the law she passed. It doesn't require intent.
I know, but that was the ruling based on the investigation, that because she lacked intent.
So they just ignored the law?
Guess what? That can happen all the time. District attorneys can make charging decisions all the time based on the case. Yeah. No. Let's bring George Brockler on. He talks about this all the time, that they have charging decisions. And the DA, the person involved in the investigation, decided that because she lacked the intent, it was unlikely to get a conviction. However, when we're talking intent, remember, Tina Peters and Sharona Bishop set up a private encrypted chat in order to talk to each other and people that were not authorized to get access to those computers about how they were going to affect this plan. That's something Jenna did not do. Again, Jenna didn't take any of these affirmative steps for intent. I think Jenna should be held responsible for it.
I think there was plenty of intent with regards to not notifying the county clerk.
Yes, and that's where I think that she does have some liability, and there should be something there. I agree with that, but they made a decision not to charge based on unlikely conviction because otherwise they're wasting our time. I'm pissed at Phil Weiser for blowing our money on the Elijah McClain case because he brought in people that had no business prosecuting that case here in the state, and they messed it up. They wasted our time and money, and I'm pissed at him for doing that. He made a bad charging decision there. Bad decision.
But I think Joe's point in all this is that it is political. You have some people that are being prosecuted. You have other people that aren't being prosecuted.
Billy.
You have people serving 9 years. You have child rapists getting out on probation. There is an element of politics in all this.
No, there is a small element of politics, but the issue is that you all are using your politics to to color your worldview. There are individuals that are accused of crimes that are charged and some that aren't every single day in our cities and our state. Every day. That happens for a variety of reasons. But the two of you have decided that because I disagree with it, it's political. That's it.
Okay,
That's
Billy,
all this is.
let me ask you, can I ask you just this simple question? Just stepping aside from the Tina Peters case for a second, if you look at what's been happening with our voter rolls, everyone knows there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of illegals on the voter rolls. Now, the Democrats claim they're not voting, but nobody can look. Now, let me just ask you the simplest question. If it's true that Jenna Griswold is allowing hundreds of thousands of illegals on the voter rolls, shouldn't she be prosecuted?
You would have to, that all hinges on your use of the verb allow. And that derives intent that may not necessarily be there. But the other thing is you talk about it. You talk about this, Joe, as far as you say they helped them get registered. Again, Joe, you're saying that we can't tell if they voted. Yeah, we can. If you say they're illegals on the rolls, you can see how often that person voted. And we don't have any proof of that. We have no proof of large swaths of illegals voting in our elections. Full stop.
The debates from 2020 continue. The Jeff and Bill Show. We've got You Choose the News coming up. Joe, thanks so much for a really fun, entertaining segment. We'll continue. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
You know, the Super Bowl has a halftime show. The Jeff and Bill Show needs to take a moment for a little bit of levity after some serious debate over Tina Peters. This is our time for You Choose the News.
The halftime show. I like that. Oh, that's a great way to think of this. Yes, it is your intermission on today's Serious Talk. It is America's favorite fake radio news game show, You Choose the News. I've spent mere moments this morning scouring our interwebs for really dumb stories about us humans and giving them more ridiculous headlines. The headlines today have a theme. Why would we be this irresponsible with valuable airtime? Because those in charge have no idea we do this. They don't wake up for about another 7 minutes, so we are going to take full advantage of being left unsupervised. And yes, we've even pulled Blake Olson from the news department in on this because we want to spread the blame around in case we ever get caught. That's really what it is. Alrighty, so Blake Olson in the news department. Jeff Hunt is in the studio. Gentlemen, here are your choices this morning. Headline number 1. Circus Dum-Dum. Headline number 2, Weather Dum-Dum. Headline number 3, Painful Dum-Dum. And headline number 4, Electric Dum-Dum. Sort of a theme.
Let's start with Electric Dum-Dum.
Yes, Electric Dum-Dum. Hey, it's happening. The robots are taking our jobs, but hey, only the stupid people, am I right? Haha, no, I'm kidding. Okay. Burger Bot, brand new fast food joint making its debut in Los Gatos, California. It's one of San Francisco Bay Area's most affluent sites, and they have a shiny new fast food concept where the burgers are made by the robots. They have unleashed a pair of new robotics burger bots, and they're claimed to make perfectly consistent burgers every single time. Plus, they never complain about being late or show up drunk in the morning. So, now, before you pull out all the protest signs and start to picket them, a full staff of humans is also still employed at the restaurant. The bots only handle burger production and operation, from grinding the meat to griddling up and tossing it onto a conveyor belt and assembly line. Then the humans assemble the ingredients at the other side and do the complete ready-to-eat burger and then do all the customer servicey stuff as well. In fact, they can turn out a burger every 27 seconds. Now, before you think the restaurant workers are mad about this, in a recent survey, 67% said they actually would love to have a robot take over the more menial, ugly tasks of their job, like cleaning the bathroom.
I might actually get the burger the way I ordered it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and that's the thing is they say that it's done perfectly each and every time, and they assemble all the stuff and they put it on afterwards, and then you have the humans, and the humans run around and they make sure, they can do the Chick-fil-A type stuff. Yeah. So that could be kind of, I can say that.
Not bad.
Yeah.
My pleasure.
Alrighty. Now. Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Blake Olson, sir. Circus Dum-Dum, Weather Dum-Dum, or Painful Dum-Dum?
Let's go with the Weather Dum-Dum.
Yes, Weather Dum-Dum. National Weather Service is issuing warnings right around the country saying you need to be on guard, especially if you live near a Doppler radar unit. The Veterans on Patrol, an anti-government militia organization, has said they're controlling the weather. Yes, they are accusing NOAA of nefarious actions normally reserved for superheroes cartoons. The group is advocating for everybody and anyone to join them in conducting penetration drills on NextRad sites to identify weaknesses which can be used to ultimately destroy the sites. You know, the big weather round balls that do radar and stuff like we have at Buckley? Yeah, they think those are controlling the radar, so they want us to attack them. Yeah, that's great. Despite the fact that those radar balls have been around since 1990. But, oh well, yeah, science dum-dums. Science is hard sometimes. Okay, Jeff, final choice this morning. Circus dum-dums or painful dum-dums?
Circus dum-dums.
Circus dum-dums. This is where our theme comes from today, Lexington, Kentucky. A mom in Kentucky was in for a surprise when she recently found 70,000 dum-dum suckers on her front doorstep. Holly LaFavors from Lexington shared on Facebook that her son, Liam, recently ordered 30 cases of dum-dum suckers off of Amazon because he was planning for a neighborhood circus. Yes, Liam has some developmental delays and doesn't always think that far in the future as far as what he was going to do. And Holly shares the story that he wanted to have a carnival and a circus for all of his friends, and he wanted to hand out dum-dums. He got a hold of her phone and ordered a lot of dum-dums. So far, she's only been able to return several $1,000s worth of them. She's still on the hook for the rest of them.
What's the total money spent?
It's about $8,000 is what she spent. Yeah, on suckers. Talking about a
things
sucker.
that go for free.
Yes,
at the restaurant. All right,
yeah.
You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
KNUS.
It is 7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Tuesday, May 6, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show. News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. I think it's important to note, Bill, that in light of this debate,
yes,
I want people to know that you're taking tomorrow off. Not because of this debate.
No, not because of the debate.
And not because management's going to jump in here.
And no. Yeah. I'm taking some personal time.
Because I will get those texts tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, we will. Yeah. But, yeah, I'm taking some personal time tomorrow. It's kind of nice. But I'll be back on Thursday, much to everybody's chagrin. Yeah, it's my birthday
Mr.
tomorrow.
President.
So I'm going to take tomorrow off. I'm just going to sleep in.
Birthday.
So it's going to be kind of nice.
Mr. President.
If you do that in a dress, I'm taking pictures. I'm just saying. Just saying.
You would. I was going to bring in a strippergram, but we'll delay that to your return.
Oh, darn. Notice I didn't ask what sex they were, because I'm okay with either, honestly. I'm like, I'll play along. I got this.
The one that your wife will ask fewer questions.
Again? Knowing her? That still leaves both sides really open.
All right, so part of the debate during the last hour was why Donald Trump weighing in with this post on Truth Social about Tina Peters. I mean, obviously, he's directed the DOJ to investigate this, but it just kind of landed last night about 6 p.m. Donald Trump posting and calling Phil Weiser, a radical leftist who ignores illegals committing violent crimes while punishing Tina Peters to the tune of 9 years. And even in the midst of all the debate yesterday, I think Bill and I both agree 9 years is just too long. Even if you agree that she did something wrong, 9 years is just too long. And from my perspective, this thing is a total political prosecution. I mean, when you have Jenna Griswold getting out and no investigation, criminal investigation, none of that stuff, she's free on all that, while Tina Peters serves 9 years, it all stinks to me. So the debate, though, the question was, why was this all of a sudden posted? We may have some insight coming 52 seconds ago. Lauren Boebert posted, I'm glad to see President Trump address the situation after I sent a formal request to the FBI to look into the sentencing and treatment of Tina Peters. 9 years in prison while Jenna Griswold and her entire office avoids any type of legal accountability for releasing voting machine passwords makes Coloradans believe the justice system is rigged. I know FBI Director Patel and Deputy Director Bongino will get the answers we deserve to hear. So, maybe thanks to Representative Lauren Boebert. All right, we've got a lot to discuss this hour. Phone lines are open, 303-696-1971, or text us. Boy, the text messages are hot today, 720-819-5115. Coming up in just a second, Rory O'Neill, NBC News national correspondent, is going to join us. It's real estate, and they aren't making any more of it, or stocks, or gold. National correspondent Rory O'Neill will look at what the experts are saying are the best and most reliable places to put your money, honey. We'll get into that here in a second. We're also going to talk DHS offering illegal immigrants $1,000 and a plane ticket out of here. Also, student loan repayments. Is that affecting you? Those clicked back on for the first time in 5 years yesterday. King Soopers rated one of the worst grocery stores in the nation. And Brittany Pedersen sending letters to Robert F. Kennedy. You remember her? She's Heroin Barbie. She's now in Congress, and she wants taxpayers to continue to pay for Narcan. So, whole lot to discuss. But now it's time for your daily dose of Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Good morning, 46 and mostly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 53 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast is coming up. Our top story, it's getting warmer and summer is just around the corner, so it's time for Antifa to start creating a little chaos. And today in Seattle and last night, looking to stir up stuff at the University of Washington in between sips of their coffee at Starbucks. Canada's
by the way, on that, if you follow Andy No, NGO is the last name. I invited him. He came and spoke to the Western Conservative Summit. We struck up a great friendship. This guy is doing work that no other media is doing. He's risked his life. He's been physically attacked by Antifa. He wrote a book called Unmasked, Inside Antifa's Radical Plan to Destroy Democracy. So if you want the latest on all this, and I saw the videos he was posting, go to Mr. Andy No, NGO is how you spell his last name. Follow him on X.
Yeah, he's incredible, man. It's amazing what he's been able to capture. It's kind of sick, too. Canada's new Prime Minister, Mark Carney, who was a citizen of Ireland last I checked. I think he's denounced them, and he puts the EU first, along with their relationship with China. He visits the White House today, and DJT not really impressed.
I don't know. He's coming to see me. I'm not sure what he wants to see me about, but I guess he wants to make a deal. Everybody does. They all want to make a deal because we have something that they all want. We have something that they all want. China wants to make a deal very badly. You see what's happening to China. China's being decimated, and I don't want that to happen. But they have to make a fair deal. We were losing hundreds of billions of dollars a year. We were losing think of it, on our trade policies with Biden. We're losing $5 billion a day.
And as Jeff just mentioned, Lauren Boebert sent out an official request to the FBI regarding Tina Peters and DJT on Truth Social last night. He says radical left Colorado AG Phil Weiser is ignoring illegals committing violent crimes like rape and murder and instead jailing 69-year-old Gold Star mother Tina Peters, who worked to expose and document Democrat election fraud. 47 writes Tina is an innocent political prisoner being horribly and unjustly punished in the form of cruel and unusual punishment. This is a communist persecution by the radical left as they cover up their crimes in 2020. I am hereby directing the DOJ to take necessary action to help secure the release of this hostage in Colorado. Free Tina Peters now. The Catholic Church will likely have a new leader soon. The College of Cardinals is prepping for the election called a conclave in Vatican City, which starts tomorrow. The candidate needs a 2/3 majority to become Pope. Someone used AI to put DJT in the Pope's garb. Media wanted to make something out of it.
I had nothing to do with it. Somebody made up a picture of me dressed like the Pope, and they put it out on the internet. That's not me that did it. I have no idea where it came from. Maybe it was AI, but I know nothing about it. I just saw it last evening. Actually, my wife thought it was cute. She said, "Isn't that nice?"
Question about
Actually, I would not be able to be married, though. That would be a lot. I'd have to the best of my knowledge, popes aren't big on getting married, are they? Not that we know of. No. I think it's the fake news media that, they're fakers.
And then they went on. And
Dude, this guy is so fun. I mean, it's just constant. I mean, it's comedy, it's timing, he's engaging, personable. I mean, lest we forget what it was like just a year ago when you didn't even have press conferences with the guy that occupied the White House. He just disappeared to the beach and sat in his lawn chair.
They're praying the stiff would survive in the suit.
Well, I do find it interesting that Catholics that are, just kind of overlook Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden supporting abortion in total contradiction of the teachings of the church are now all of a sudden really upset about this picture of Donald Trump.
They're trying whatever they could do. They are trying, and it will continue, but it sure is fun. This journey is so much fun. Denver police still investigating a Sunday night shooting in Lodo. It happened on the 1900 block of Market Street around 9 o'clock. All 4 people injured by gunshots are expected to recover. Thankfully, no arrests have been announced.
7 seconds left. Westbrook, 5 seconds. They're down by 1. Gordon, got it! Aaron Gordon with a deep shot. Williams, three-quarter court, no good. The Nuggets steal game 1. a winner for Aaron Gordon.
Wow. In Oklahoma City last night, the Nuggets were down big. Then they come back down one, as you just heard, with just seconds left on the clock. And from downtown, a three-pointer. They didn't go to the rack. Westbrook kicked it out to Gordon, 121-119, and they lead Oklahoma City 1-0 in the second round of the playoffs. 43 in Arvada, 42 in Castle Pines, 45 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue.
But 9 years? We're letting pedophiles go. What in the world is going on with the judge railroading somebody for 9 years?
Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
A storm system to our south will pump upslope winds into the Front Range today, tonight, and into early Wednesday, bringing more occasional chances of rain and thunder today, tonight, and tomorrow. Upper 40s and near 50 today with occasional rain, a little bit of thunder. Rain tonight, fog, lows near 40. Showers will continue Wednesday, highs near 60. Warming to the mid to upper 60s Thursday with a few showers, warmer for Friday and the weekend. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Rory O'Neill will be joining us here in just a second. You're not going to want to miss this conversation. What are the experts saying are the best places to put your money right now? Real estate, stocks, gold, all that stuff. Woo. This is going to be good stuff. Rory O'Neill, NBC News national correspondent, will be joining us. So recently, our family had our AC unit go out. Now, there's a debate within the Hunt family about this because I grew up in Colorado and you just... you really use your AC all that much. Even during the kind of hottest parts of the summer, you would keep the windows open at night, run a little circular fan in the room, close the windows during the day, and you could pretty much get through and be okay with it. My spouse, on the other hand, who grew up in the deserts of California, where it gets into the hundreds. So that AC unit just runs and runs and runs and runs to keep it comfortable. So we had to get a new AC unit. And we went out there and we talked to a number of different companies, had them come out and give us bids and stuff like that. Got a chance to meet the folks over at L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. All right. Not only did we have to get a new AC, what we learned was that the furnace that was installed just wasn't nearly big enough to be able to heat and cool the entirety of our house. And they're exactly right. We had pockets of our house that just never really adjusted to other areas of the house. So had to get them both done, and they got it all done in one day. This was amazing. They show up with their professional trucks. I mean, this isn't some white van all dented up. Some guy chucks the air conditioning unit out the back. No, this was real professional stuff, okay? These folks got it done. 1 day installation, no stress, personal service from start to finish, and they even followed up to make sure everything was perfect. I texted with the folks, 1 week out, how's everything going? Great. 2 weeks out, how's everything going? Great. I mean, they were checking up to make sure, and we really had no problems at all. Our home finally comfortable no matter what the weather. It ended the debate. So we can have the windows open if we need, or close them and get the air conditioning, all of that with L&L Heating and Air Conditioning. Listen to some of the deals they've got going on right now. Free programmable thermostat and carbon monoxide detector with new furnace and air conditioning installation. No emergency charges, $0 trip fee, price match value guarantee on equipment. Always ask for that price match. Free estimate, 5-year labor warranty. Everything works great. Our family couldn't be happier. Here's the phone number for L&L Heating and Air Conditioning, 720-851-1691. That's 720-851-1691, or visit bestdenverhvac.com. That's bestdenverhvac.com. All right. So, is it real estate? Is it stocks? Is it gold? What are the experts are saying was the best place to put your money these days? Well, NBC News national correspondent Rory O'Neill joins us. Good morning, Rory. Thanks for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, good morning.
Sure, good morning. Hey, good morning. And look, this is not what the experts are saying. This is what Americans are saying, okay, to be clear. So this is not financial advice. Don't invest by what we're talking about right now. This is just a general opinion of these days. How do Americans feel is the best way to invest long-term? And according to this Gallup survey, 37% say real estate is the top way to invest.
Buy dirt, I think as the country song goes, right? Buy dirt and raise your family on it. So what's the, from the American's perspective, what is the point, or I guess the reason why Americans are putting their faith into real estate?
Well, look, we've seen strong returns on real estate, and this Gallup survey is interesting because these numbers actually do change. Now, from year to year, real estate has stayed about the same in this survey, but the percentage of people who said stocks, that took a pretty big hit, down 6 points, because this survey was conducted during the first 2 weeks of April. That was just as the president was announcing the tariffs. We saw those 1,000-point swings in the Dow. So, and people losing a lot in their 401ks on paper. So that spooked a lot of people. So now only 16% say the stock market is best long term. On the flip side, we saw an increase in the percentage saying that gold is the way to go. 23% say gold is the best long-term investment. And there are 4% out there who say cryptocurrency is the best way to do it.
Crypto's still hovering down at 4%. I
was curious about that.
Yeah,
those crypto bros. Yeah, what are they thinking?
Well, I was talking to a lady that manages securities, not securities themselves, but the actual notion of security for investment firms and crypto to make sure that you don't have cartels and stuff like that, money laundering via crypto. And even she was like, maybe not crypto.
No, yeah. Maybe not. Maybe not. So, Rory, was mattress anywhere in that, in that investment profile? People are like, no, I'm just stuffing the stuff in my mattress.
Yeah, I think, 5% said bonds, so that's about the same.
Yeah,
but, these numbers have also swung pretty significantly because 10 years ago when Gallup was asking the same question, we were in the middle of the Great Recession. We saw the housing market collapse in 2008 and beyond, so more like 15 years ago. But, yeah, it was all upside down. So we saw more people say stocks than real estate because real estate values collapsed back in 2008. So the opinions do swing back and forth depending on the news of the day.
That's Rory O'Neill, NBC News national correspondent, talking about a Gallup poll that points to the fact that most people trust real estate. Now, real estate's had its ups and downs too. I mean, we've lived through 2008 and the problems there. Here in Colorado, the cost of living with regards to real estate is just going up and up and up. So people's taxes are going up. It's harder to find a starter home, those types of things. Do you have any insight into how this may break down generationally? Are younger people looking at real estate going, I can't even afford to get into it?
Well, right. And that's the big problem. Just trying to access those starter homes, it's nearly impossible. A lot of people have mortgages that are under 3% interest. They don't want to give them up to upgrade the home. So the people who bought a starter home 15 years ago they're halfway through their mortgage. They got a sweet rate locked in. Probably the value of their home has at least doubled in that time, probably tripled. They'd like to move up to something nicer, but don't want to give up that low rate. So a lot of people are staying put, and that's really jammed up the pipeline. You add to that just a lack of new inventory. Builders are not building those entry-level homes because that's not where the profit is. The profit is in that 6-bedroom McMansion that has a 4-car garage, right? Not the starter home, and that's where we really see this housing shortage affect the whole industry.
Yeah, my partner Jeff always talks about golden handcuffs, that mortgage rates are so low for some homeowners, they can't afford to get into either a larger or even a smaller home because of what it does to their mortgage payment. That either way, if you're going to upsize or downsize and it doubles your mortgage payment, there's no reason to do that. So you just kind of ride this one out. Now, Rory O'Neill, NBC News national correspondent, joining Jeff and Bill live. We are talking about where Americans say they want to invest their money. Where do they find those safe hidey holes for your piles of cash? Rory, looking at the numbers, what was the thing that surprised you the most? What did you not expect to see?
Well, I wasn't too surprised to see the stock, to see the preference in stock dip, but that may be short-sighted because, again, this poll was conducted in those first 2 weeks of April, just as the markets were all over the map. So I think if you read into the poll, look at that kind of data, you say, that explains a lot of it.
I think that's exactly right. This is going to bounce around in this economy right now. So I guess at the end of the day, diversify. Rory O'Neill, NBC News national correspondent, thank you for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Well, Bill, let me tell you where a good investment is, especially if you've been hurt in an injury.
Oh, yeah, I was thinking mattress again. No, not. Yes.
If you've been injured in an injury car crash, right, or an injury case, a good investment, Dan Caplis with Dan Caplis Law. I've known Dan for well over a decade. This is one of the most trustworthy guys I've ever met. He's so solid on his values. Right there with us on this show. That matters because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everybody involved in the case. But 40 years, guys, 40 years of service to the people of Colorado getting justice. That's Dan Caplis with Dan Caplis Law. He's a real winner in the courtroom. Listen to this. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado history. He's going to deliver for you. In fact, he's so trusted that the good people at the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche have made Dan Caplis Law their official law firm partner. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. He accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551. That's 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, CAPLISLaw.com. All right, we'll continue with your phone calls and texts. And next, here's a way to get some money, self-deport. And the federal government will pay you $1,000. Are they saving money, or are we rewarding crime? I'll wake up at some point this morning. All right, you're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's talk leader, news, talking something, 710 K. I'm just trying to play along. KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Fox News reporting DHS unleashes possible money-saving measure for illegal aliens to self-deport, calling it the safest option. The Department of Homeland Security will front the cost of commercial flights and provide a $1,000 stipend to illegal aliens who opt to self-deport from the United States in a move DHS says will save thousands of dollars. And that was kind of my initial reaction to this, was going, you're going to get a $1,000 stipend and a plane ticket and you came here illegally? Well, they answer that. The department says this will be 70% cheaper for American taxpayers, as it currently costs DHS on average over $17,000 to arrest, detain, and deport someone. Those are your dollars. DHS told Fox News that paying for aliens to remove themselves, even with the stipend, is anticipated to cost only around $4,500 on average. So again, $4,500, stipend, airfare, all that stuff, time for the deportation, versus $17,000, which is the average cost. The stipend would not be paid until it was verified that an individual self-deport. Aliens will use the CBP Home Self-Deportation app to access the assistance, said DHS, and DHS expects self-removals already in the thousands to ramp up significantly with this announcement. Now, Bill, I go down to these protests and I talk to folks and they go, people in cages. We shouldn't have put people in cages. And one lady I talked to yesterday, I was like, well, how do you expect people to leave? We can ask them nicely. They don't seem to want to go. So to me, this seems like an appropriate middle step. We've asked illegal immigrants to go. They're not going. All right, so we could jump to spending $17,000 per illegal to arrest, detain, deport. Or maybe this is a good middle step. It saves some people money, and it might address the more progressive concerns about people in cages, people in cages. What are your thoughts, Bill?
This is weird because I'm not sure. I got a couple of questions on this one. One is the how. How are we paying them? Because they can't get the money until they're back in their own country. So are we wire transferring them money? How are we getting them the money?
Amazon
what
gift
account?
cards.
I know, that's the idea. What's the idea is I can't figure out how we're paying them. And for me, here's the idea is let's just place ourselves in the body of an undocumented immigrant. We snuck into this country under dark of night, or we were human trafficked here, or we paid a coyote, whatever it is, and we've been living outside of the system. We've been able to manage for a couple of years now to avoid the system, avoid detection for a variety of reasons. Either we bought an illegal Social Security card and are working legitimately under that, or we're just getting paid under the table, we're doing day labor, we found a company that doesn't care, whatever that is. And the government comes and says, we'll pay you $1,000 to go home, plus you won't get dinged, and you can still apply for legal citizenship, and we'll pay for the flight. But you don't get the $1,000 until you get home. Do you trust that? Because the first question you're going to have in your head is, how? How do I get paid? I have to first identify myself to them, and they say they're not going to wrap me up in deportation proceedings and everything else, but do I trust them? We have other people that were here that were waiting for and have been given hearings for immigration status and have been picked up during those hearings. Some have been picked up while they're at those hearings. Some have been picked up after leaving those hearings. Some have shown up to hearings that were completely and totally bogus. So do you trust our government to hold up their end of the bargain? Or is this just allowing you to identify yourself so they know where you are and they come and grab you before they pay you the $1,000 and get you out of the country? So why would I trust this? Because the end payment doesn't seem very likely based on the functionality, because now I have to tell the government where I'm going, who I am, and then I have to give them my banking information? I'm not even in the country yet. How do I have a bank there? So that's the problem I can't figure out. And the other
Starbucks gift cards.
Yeah. The other thing I got to figure out is how's the Trump administration paying $17,000 for this? Because the numbers that I found under the Biden administration was $10,500. So we're spending over $6,000 more under the efficient Donald Trump administration to deport these people?
Well,
hang on,
even then it would be cheaper, $4,500 versus $10,000.
The issue, but no, what I'm looking at is that Trump is spending more. Trump is supposed to be the businessman. He has the Department of Government Efficiency. He is about spending the money as efficiently as possible because of the vast amount of waste and bad priorities under the Biden administration. But somehow the Biden administration managed to do this more efficiently economically? How the hell is that possible? Dude's supposed to be a businessman. He's supposed to be running the country like a CEO. And we're spending more to deport illegals under him than we are under Biden? How is that even possible if he's supposed to be this business wizard and we got the Doge?
Were you looking at like total dollars spent divided by total deportations?
Yeah, it was just numbers that.
But that would make sense because he didn't deport as many people.
No, but per person though, they said that they broke it down per person about 10,005. So now we're just spending more. Okay, I would assume that even if we are spending, if we are deporting more, it would create a great efficiency.
Just didn't spend that much money.
The issue is he just was able to do it more efficiently. He just paid less to get them out of the country.
That's what I'm challenging. I'm challenging how you came up with that number.
They were asked the Biden administration, and they released numbers on the per person cost, and this was when Donald Trump started his deportation. So, of course, we can say, obviously the White House was lying.
Maybe Biden just didn't spend that much money on deportation.
But still, it would be a per person. So even if he didn't spend...
if you didn't spend as much and you didn't deport as many people, you're going to have a lower per person deportation.
Not necessarily. Necessarily, because it should cost you the same amount to deport a person. It doesn't matter. Numbers are... In fact, if you deport more, you should get market efficiencies. You should be able to...
But if you have to spend more because you're deporting more... Yeah, that number's going to go up.
No, not per person. Not necessarily. No, because it would still be divided by per person. If I have $1 million and I'm deporting 1,000 people, or I have $2 million and I'm deporting 2,000 people, those numbers are still going to work per person. You can still break it down on a per person basis, and Biden was spending less per person to deport, and that's what I'm curious about. Is how is that market efficiency not capitalized by the Donald Trump administration?
I'm not sure that's a fair critique because I think you're not taking into account the fact that we're spending a lot more all of a sudden
to deport more people.
Yeah,
but that again, it still divides down to a per person cost. So again, it talks about efficiency of spend. You can spend more money and deport more people, but if you're spending it less efficient, that's the number you get.
But
let's
say you deport 100 people, and you're going to spend. We're only going to spend $1,000 to deport 100 people, but then all of a sudden we're going to deport 10,000 people, and we need to spend $100 million to get there. Yeah, it's going to look a little bit more expensive.
Well, that's because you have exponentially increased your spend versus the population.
That's what I'm pointing.
Yeah, and that's my point too. Bad money spend. Right. Yes, that's what I'm asking.
Bad money spend.
Oh yeah,
No, I think you're attributing stuff here. You're missing the point though. The point is he's deporting more people and he's spending more money to do that.
Yeah, that's my point. He is spending more money per person.
And you're attributing it to efficiency.
No, because he's spending more money per person. That's the issue. Is the way you can figure out the efficiency.
He's actually deporting people.
Hang on. That doesn't impact the per person cost per se. No, it doesn't.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Because otherwise, here's the reason, is if we can't break it down based on one company spending X amount of dollars to reach these advertisers or these consumers, and another company spending X amount of dollars to reach these number of consumers, you do it based on a per person basis. That's how you compare the apples to the apples. And that's what I'm doing.
But you're not comparing apples to apples.
Yes, I am. I'm doing the apples to the apples. Biden spent less money.
Because Biden wasn't deporting people.
It doesn't matter based on numbers. It's based on per person spend. And that's my question. Per person spend is less under Biden. I just want to know
Bill
how.
And I would debate the color of the sky.
Yeah, I just want to know how. The per person spend is more efficient under Biden. Doesn't make any sense. Makes no sense whatsoever.
People. What do you mean it doesn't make any sense? He wasn't deporting people.
That doesn't matter when you're talking about per person.
Yes,
it doesn't.
It totally does.
Jeff,
Bill,
it doesn't. Based on economics, it doesn't.
Yes.
No, the total spend is always divided by number of people. In both math problems, hang on. In both math problems, it is total amount of dollars spent divided by number of people. Both math problems are done the same.
They are not apples to apples, Bill.
Yes, they are. Both math problems are the same. Why not?
Because you're looking at total costs spent to ICE, right? You're taking just a pot of money going, this is the money sent to ICE and DHS. This is the number of people deported. Ergo, this is the per person cost. But the entire formula is wrong. And then you're dealing with broken motivation.
No, it's mathematically valid.
So if somebody spends more money and deports more people, and all of a sudden you're ramping up this entire system, and you're getting more people out, right? And you're having to pay more DHS and more judges and more agents and all this stuff. You're ramping that whole system up, and then you go, well, it's not as efficient. You're missing the entire point of it.
No,
and you got your formula wrong,
No.
and you're just taking giant pots of money and contributing and trying to do apples to apples comparison when they're not even the same thing.
No, they are. It's mathematically valid. Total amount of money spent. Yeah, total amount of money spent divided by number of people served. That is mathematically valid across the board. And yes, I agree that they are ramping up and they're spending more money in legal enforcement. Yes, but at the core,
and then you're going, well, Biden's
costing them,
Trump's not as efficient as Biden.
At the core, it is costing them more to deport the illegals, which, if it is efficient, if it's market efficiency, you would be spending more and you would be able to deport more illegals and it would cost you less because of that efficiency. That's the idea. That's why you buy in bulk. That's why you buy at Costco and you pay per less individual container than you do than if you buy it off the store at King Soopers. Same thing. I would assume since they're doing it in bulk. Yes.
Deporting somebody's not a commodity, Bill.
But the math is valid.
No, you got to hire more people, more judges, more agents, more airlines.
We fired
all that
judges.
Stuff.
Donald Trump fired judges. That should make it more efficient then.
Bill,
no, the mathematics is valid. No, the mathematics are valued. No, I'm just asking how.
This was a question about whether or not this is a good way to save money, and you're looking at and going, well, Donald Trump isn't getting people out as cheap as Joe Biden.
We're getting distracted here.
That's my point.
Yes, we're getting distracted. And my point was just on the side. It was a side point saying, I don't understand how the business guy is spending more to deport illegals. And you're like, and you're defending it saying I'm wrong. We should move on from this point. Donald Trump at the core is spending more per person to deport illegals. I don't understand that. I'm not sitting here throwing rocks at him. I'm not sitting here and saying he sucks or anything else. I'm just bringing the math to the table that it's costing him more to deport an illegal than it did under Biden. That's all I'm doing. It's a basic math problem.
You said it's a businessman, it's efficiency, all this stuff, and I'm saying
it's a basic math problem.
Ramped up an entire new system. It's like
basic
you bring
math.
A new factory online, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, it's because all of a sudden our costs are going up. But yeah, you brought in a whole new factory. You created this entire new system.
Yes, if you
They're
brought in
not apples to apples comparisons.
But if you brought a new factory online, you are going to see some capital expense, but you should see market efficiencies on the other end as far as production. Your cost per unit should go down if the factory was built to do that. If the factory is built and it raises your cost per item that is being manufactured, you did a bad job. That's it.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, Bill and I would debate everything. 303-696-1971 if you want to join the conversation, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115, 720-819-5115. Here's the point. All right. You have a few ways to get out of this country if you're an illegal immigrant right now. Okay? You can wait and live in the shadows and roll the dice and hope that Tom Homan and the rest of them aren't going to come get you, right? That's a big risk at this point because they're picking people. You go to a nightclub on a Saturday night, you might get picked up by ICE. So do you risk it? Keep your head down. Try to be quiet. You can self-deport quietly. Get out of here. I will tell you, if I was an illegal immigrant, that would be the way I do it, because getting your name on any list by a government, not a good thing. If you're not supposed to be there, okay? That list lives forever. Your name is on some list somewhere, okay? So I think that the smart illegal immigrants are quietly getting out of here and going to get in line and do this the right way, which is what they should have done all along. But if there's a small iota of intelligence there and you want long-term American residency, you're getting the hell out of here quietly. You're going back to Mexico. You're going to figure out the paperwork. You're going to hire an attorney. You're going to do all that stuff. You're going to do it right, okay? Now, there is a group out there that's not going to do it, that's going to go, $1,000 and a free plane ticket. it's in America's best interest to offer them that. I don't think they're the smartest people, but you should probably take that. It's better than living in the shadows hoping Tom Homan, because if Tom Homan grabs you, you're never getting in this country. You're on a list of never entry. All right, so you have this third way. My first response to this was, I don't really like it, and I don't like the idea of us having to pay these people to leave, but if it saves us 70% of the costs, then yes, I think they probably should take it, and it's probably worth doing. All right, we'll get to the phone lines and more, plus text messages are hot this morning.
Yes, they
Bill,
are.
I mean, we're getting like
so many.
We're getting multiple ones a second at this point.
And I'm getting people that are calling that can't join us on the air that are getting mad at me. But yeah, we'll talk to Mark here in a second when we get back from the break. This will be fun.
We've got a lot to talk about. All right. Now, if you do have a business, though, and you got to deal with all the stupid crime policies of Colorado because they're terrible out there, well, then alarm detection systems are the people you got to call, because it's all about reliability, right? And it's not optional when business security is on the line. It's absolutely essential. Alarm detection systems, highest level of service and expertise. Think about all the time you could be saving if you just had one source for your cameras, your key card access, fire and intrusion systems, 24/7 professional monitoring, expert installation, tested by highly trained technicians, same day or next day service, dedicated teams for cameras, access control, and fire alarms, and over 300 security professionals working for you. Choosing ADS means your business stays protected, be ready to open tomorrow, even when Phil Weiser's your attorney general. They combine human monitoring with the latest AI camera technology to prevent crime in real time, trusted by small and large businesses, including many Colorado schools. Their security experts will review your system for free. All you got to do, go to adsalarm.com, schedule your appointment today. adsalarm.com, alarm detection systems, the first choice of Front Range and Colorado businesses. adsalarm.com. We'll continue with your phone calls, texts, as you critique Bill and I's math. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
I was told there'd be no math. This is Denver Stock Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Bill, I think we broke a record here. I mean, the amount of text messages are, I've never seen anything like this.
It's over math.
I know, we found the secret to the show now. You didn't carry the 3.
Exactly. That's a cosine. What are you doing here? You have any idea what that radical would do to this equation?
I'd like to point out that Bill and I, neither of us are business guys nor math. I studied philosophy in college.
I've got an economics minor, but I'm not a business. That's not that side. So so I understand some of the fundamentals, but that's a math. I could not do math. I was so slow. The bane of my existence in elementary and middle school were timed tests. Oh, I hated those. Every time they come, it's a timed test. I'm like, I'm going to fail this.
Text messages, everything from Jeff is smoking crack to Bill, you need to consider the concept of low-hanging fruit, compliant illegal immigrants versus difficult-to-find fruit, criminal illegal immigrants. There's a cost difference between the two. Billy, you're always throwing rocks at Trump, no matter what he does. You poke holes in it. It's tiresome. All right, let's go to the phone line. So you can see there's love and hate on both sides.
Yeah, there is, which is great. That's why we love all of you listening.
Let's go to Mark in Denver. Good morning, Mark. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Morning. Why am I wrong, Mark?
Yeah, good morning. Instead of paying the illegals to deport, why not pay American citizens to turn them in for $1,000? Because they broke the law, they're criminals, and you would get a reward. Believe me, that would make them deport faster than anything, because they're not showing up for work now. They're not going to school. They're not going to church.
Now, Mark, don't you think you'd get my mother-in-law?
About anybody be willing to turn them in for $1,000 a head?
What do you think you'd get that my mother-in-law lives at 1524 Gray Street? Swing by and hassle her for a little bit.
I'd be turned in every day. Every day.
You think there'd be just an abuse of that system, though?
No, they have to make sure that they are illegal. So everywhere they go, the children go to school. There's people thinking they can make a quick $5,000 on five family. And it's American duty. They're here. Yeah. They're here illegally. They committed a crime. They committed a felony when they crossed the border.
The problem I've got I don't think it's a felony when they cross the border. I believe that's still a misdemeanor.
What is it?
I believe it's a misdemeanor. I believe it's a misdemeanor. I don't think it's a felony, because that would be different as far as sentencing laws. Again, I can be completely wrong with that. Yeah, it does.
Does it really matter? They're here illegally?
Yes, it does. No, it matters based on sentencing. It does, Mark. And the problem that I've got with this entire idea of we just need to have our citizens turn in people that we think shouldn't be here or doing something wrong. I remember the last time that happened in the mid to late 30s, and it was about being a good German. And that's a really scary idea.
You mean like George Soros?
No, not at all. I'm meaning
George Soros turned in the Jews because he helped the Nazis find their land.
I'm not certain about that. There's some disagreement on that.
No, that's a fact.
Even then,
you need to look it up, Billy boy. That's a fact.
Okay, Marky boy. But do you think that George Soros was right? Was he right?
No, he turned his own Jews in. But the
Mark,
Jews
was he
weren't
right?
in there
Mark,
illegal in the country.
Was he
illegally.
right? Was
they
he
were
right?
Born there.
He was being in your study. He was being the good German. So was he right?
So
is that what you support?
So you agree that people coming across the border illegally that commit crimes, that rape people, that kill people, that do drugs, that you're okay with that, right?
No, not at all, Mark.
To that?
No,
Mark. You're agreeing to that. That's who you are. You're a Democrat.
Mark, I'm not a Democrat. Stop this. I'm not a Democrat.
Yes, you are.
Oh, stop this. This is silly, Mark.
You hate Trump. People can tell.
What? So, Mark, so what? So what if I dislike Trump? There are a lot of people that dislike Trump. Who was on with Peter Boyles this last weekend? Dick Wadhams dislikes Trump. That doesn't make him a Democrat. This is stupid. And the issue that I was asking about, Mark, was the idea that you were going back to reporting on fellow citizens just like they asked you to in Nazi Germany. That's it, man. That was the core. Sorry you couldn't handle the conversation, but
all right,
call back later.
We'll continue. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show.
This is News Talk 710 KNUS.
It is 8 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Tuesday, May 6, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights and hottest takes from the right, left, and center. And we're debating DHS offering a $1,000 stipend to illegal aliens who opt to self-deport from the United States in a move DHS says will save thousands of dollars in the long run. Right now, the DHS is anticipating the cost to arrest, detain, and deport someone to be around $17,000. Now, with this stipend, plus airfare and cost to DHS, they're thinking this could roughly be about $4,500 on average, so saving about 70% for the American taxpayer. Now, are we just rewarding criminal behavior, or is this a smart move? I think there's three different groups of people out there. One that are going to kind of try to keep their head down, hope that Tom Homan never finds them. I think that's the stupidest thing you can do, okay? Because once you get caught there, and I think Homan will find you, if that happens, you're on the list. You're no chance ever to come back to America. You're done. Second option, quietly get the hell out of here. Hope no one ever noticed you were here in the first place. Go back to your country of origin and do it the right way. Come to this country. Fill out the forms. Work with an immigration attorney. Go through the process to come here legally, the way it should be. And then you're going to have the third that are like, all right, I'll take this. And if this is going to save us money in the long run, I think it's good. I don't think you're the brightest person to take this. I think, again, get the hell out of here quietly in the middle of the night. It's the best place to do it. But, you know, this is better than Homan having to chase you down, and I think he will get you. So let's go to the phone lines. Let's go, Bill, and then we'll get to Blake here in a second. Let's go to Mary in Wyoming. Good morning, Mary. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. I believe it's a good cost. In other words, if you get them out for $1,000 and a plane ticket, you're not giving them money and services that you are already, these cities are, that are going into bankruptcy. I mean, you don't get
an important reminder, the services that we're having to spend on these folks.
Well, just like the schools, they have kids. Look how much money we're spending for them for their schooling. So in other words, if they leave, I think that is the best, really, for them.
Got a question for you, Mary, on that one. Do you offset that based on the income they also provide?
I have a real problem with what income.
What do you mean, what income?
They're not in most cases, they're not self-sufficient.
Yeah, no,
most
they are.
cases,
yeah.
Especially the families, most of the families they're getting housing, they're getting medical, they're getting food stamps. They have taken advantage of all the benefits we taxpayers paid for other citizens.
Okay, got a question for you, Mary. I have a question for you. How was an illegal immigrant going to register to get food stamps? How do they register to get housing support?
They show up.
They're already on benefits. We did not cut the benefits. Yeah, we have not cut benefits to them. That's one of the things I think that Trump should do.
No, here's the thing: as Jeff outlined, you show up in Denver if you're illegal. Okay, 6 months of an apartment. After that 6 months, how do they pay for housing? Where do they register? What do they do?
But that has cost us $356 million.
I know, but we're talking after 6 months.
They
What do they do?
DHS and they sign up.
And they for what?
They have been able to get They have been able to get benefits because, again, you do-gooders do not want them suffering because of the children.
Here's the thing.
So because of the children, they are allowed to get housing and the rest of it.
Mary, no, it's not necessarily what you're missing in the equation is that once you apply for asylum status and while that's getting worked through, then you can apply for governmental support. And I have been a critique of our asylum status and our immigrant process since the show has started. So this is more than 12 months. I have been solid on our immigration process is broken and how we decide whether or not someone is here legally, illegally, or genuinely needs asylum. Also, there are temporary you can get temporary citizenship that can be awarded by the government, and Donald Trump has taken a lot away. Those are the Haitians that were allegedly eating the pets in Springfield. It wasn't happening. But they were here under an authorized program making them temporary citizens. They would be able to get housing support and they would be able to get tax money. But the illegal people that come in through the coyotes or under the cover of darkness do not. So the people that we're most mad about, all the, quote, illegals, do not get the housing and social services support that you're claiming they do. There are some cities like Denver that provide them in short term, but we are not long term supporting illegal families through government services. They are doing that through getting paid under the table and through other things.
I'm sorry that you are wrong on that. We have been supporting them, especially the families, with all those benefits because, like I said, we're not them. They go down.
You can't register if you're illegal. You have no way to identify yourself.
Yes,
if you show up here, no, you don't have a social security number. You don't have an ID number.
A lot of them
You can't do it.
They do a lot of false identification. A lot of that early on was false identification. You can't tell me that was not happening.
And the false, I'm not saying it's not happening.
And
but
they were using the Matrica card from the Mexican embassy too.
Mary, but then that would allow them also to work. And they would be able to derive services that way. So they would be able to get jobs, and that would allow their kids also go to schools. So the issue is, there's the issue.
I think you're missing. Are you saying that illegal kids are not in school? Block granting that comes from the federal government to these states. So, for instance, the budget problem that City of Denver and Colorado are about to go through has to do in part with the fact that we're cutting off services. So you end up with fungible money issues where the city and the state are accepting federal funds and then providing services to illegal immigrants, whether that's education or housing or food. I mean, Denver was giving out food debit cards to illegal immigrants when they got here. Now, federal dollars are getting cut off. Denver's about to go through a major budget crisis. So just because they're not the illegal immigrant isn't getting the dollar directly from the federal government doesn't mean that it's not coming into the city or the state and then being used to provide services.
All of those programs had terms on them. It wasn't a debit card of unlimited money forever. And all those were term limited. There were all limits on those. You were allowed this much support for rent. You were given this much support for education. This much support for job training. That's my point. We can argue. Yes, it is my point because we can argue about whether or not that's good money being spent. Yes, but where I'm looking at Mary is the idea that she presents this world in America as if the illegals show up here and just suck off the government teat forever, and that is not functionally what happens. That's not what happens.
Hey, how about the earned income tax credit? What was the senator's name that just went off and that we had to replace from Greeley or whatever he was from? He's the one who was on the Peter Boyle show, and you guys were all about that, on how he found that those labor pool people were issuing them the W-2s so that those illegals could go ahead and apply for the earned income tax credit that they could apply for up to 10 kids with no tax numbers. And the federal government allowed that. They were using those, not the Social Security number, but the other one, the employee, whatever the number was. That was one of the things that he ran on. He caught those. In fact, the judges who remember that whole scenario on that whole thing.
Yeah,
that was a
Mary,
scam.
I understand. That's not dependent necessarily on the person.
They were able to get earned income tax credit for $10,000.
But that would allow anybody. Year. That would allow anybody, including an American citizen, and that's kind of my point. Is that, and I appreciate the call. That's my point. Is that scam could be run by an American, or it could be run by an illegal. It could be run by someone that is claiming asylum, and that's the issue. Is again, I'm not seeing this large-scale system that supports illegals in the perpetuity of their life once they show up here, and that's the argument. Is that they come here and they get everything for free, and they don't. It is short term.
Just because they're not taking it, they're not like hooking up to their veins and sucking on the government teat for every single day in perpetuity for the rest of their lives, doesn't mean that there's not a lot of money, taxpayer dollars, going to provide services to illegal immigrants to the tune here in the city of Denver of $356 million. We're running broke because of this. And if the argument is, well, just because they don't take it forever, we can just ignore the fact that they're not taking a lot to begin with. I think that's wrong.
No, it's again, I'm not arguing right or wrong on this one. I'm just talking about the idea that they're not taking it forever, that it is a short term. And Denver has spent their money very, very badly. The system that they have set up is ridiculous. The system that Denver Mayor Mike Johnson, for all you people that sit here and say that I'm a liberal and I'm a Democrat all the time, the system that Mayor Mike Johnson set up is bogus. It is crap. And we can see it not based on the money he spent, but based on the efficiency or lack thereof of transitioning any of these immigrants into realistic work. That hasn't happened. That is a failure of his process, his procedure, and the money that he spent. However, what I originally started this on was the amount of money both administrations were spending on getting an illegal out of the country. And other people want to say, well, we're not having to pay this extra money, so I should give Trump administration a discount. However, that discount would also occur under the Biden administration for stuff we wouldn't have to pay for them. We're now discussing this tangential issue about how much money we do or do not give illegal immigrants. That doesn't change my original math problem that pissed everybody off. But I agree that some of the money that we are spending in some of the programs are absolutely wrong and inefficient and do not help transition people that are in this country either illegally or through asylum or whatever reason into productive members of the society. But the assumption that everyone that is here illegal receives a government check every month and subsidized housing isn't borne out based on the facts. That's it.
Yeah, and I just think $1 spent is an atrocious idea.
That's all right. Fair. That's fair.
Let's get to, well, we need to get to Blake Olson.
Yeah, we do.
I bet Blake's been sitting there the whole time.
I know. He's like, probably yelling at me.
Now it's time for your morning dose of news and comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good morning. 47, mostly cloudy in Denver, expecting a high of 53 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story.
This is not some type of wrongful conviction. There was very clear evidence. Tina Peters was very forthright with what she did.
Oh, yeah, there's Queen Grizzy. Tried everything to keep DJT off the ballot in Colorado, like any proud lefty would. Says DJT's latest motion is unprecedented. 47 wants former Mesa County election clerk Tina Peters to be released from prison.
She was a county clerk, someone elected to protect the county's elections, who instead let in unauthorized people to have access to her voting equipment to try to prove the big lie.
Grizzy. Lauren Boebert got the ball rolling again, and then the president took to Truth Social on a post on Monday saying he will take all necessary action for the Department of Justice to set her free. Peters is serving 9 years for her involvement in voter fraud, they say, for the 2020 presidential election.
But 9 years? We're letting pedophiles go. What in the world is going on with the judge railroading somebody for 9 years?
Listener Joe in Arvada gets it. The DOJ has already launched an investigation of possible abuses of the criminal justice process. The Department of Homeland Security says $1,000 will be paid out to illegals who self-deport using a government app. The department says the funds are a way for those in the country illegally to facilitate traveling back to their home country, and payments will be made after their return has been confirmed through the CBP Home app. Then they should bill the Bidens and Kamala Khan for allowing it all to happen. An activist Biden-nominated Judge Jamal Whitehead orders the DJT administration to take in roughly 12,000 refugees. That's all. Continue the absolute chaos. That is what the left does, and they do it so well. Scott Jennings schools fools like Jason Carter and Charles Blow again on CNN. They don't like the idea of a military parade the DJT is planning. Go ahead. Keep on digging your hole, commies.
There is a concerted effort going on right now at the Pentagon, and it's already successful, to enhance recruitment and to enhance pride and the idea of joining the military. I think you all are discounting the idea that a national parade for our military to show off our military, to show pride in the veterans that have defended this country, and you all are mad about
the veterans. He was just trying to rename Veterans Day.
I'm super proud of our military, but I don't think we should waste money. I think that the worst thing for morale that I've seen is Pete Hegseth as the defense secretary.
That's the worst thing you've seen?
For morale?
The literal worst thing you've seen?
I think pretty much. I mean, it's embarrassing. If you want to embarrass people...
Talk to a rank and file military person. They'll tell you the wet blanket is off.
Yeah, that's Jimmy Carter's grandson, by the way.
All right, so if you're so concerned about wasting money with this parade, then let's go back to the trans surgeries that are provided to active duty military. All right?
Thank you.
Right, don't come at me with wasting money when we're going to use taxpayer dollars to lop off perfectly functional body parts.
Exactly, and do videos about pronouns and what color crayons to use in your safe space on military grounds. What a joke. These people are ridiculous. DJT welcoming in Canada's newly elected Prime Minister, Mark Carney, in just a few minutes, I believe. He's a total EU lefty. He's headed to the White House today.
I don't know if he's coming to see me. I'm not sure what he wants to see me about, but I guess he wants to make a deal. Everybody does. They all want to make a deal because we have something that they all want.
That's right. It's called freedom. It's getting warmer and summer is just around the corner. So guess what? It's time for Antifa to do their thing, and they're just spreading more craziness today in Seattle, looking to stir up stuff in between stirring up their coffee at Starbucks at the University of Washington in Seattle, and I think another campus, Seattle University possibly, but they're doing what they do best. It gets warm, and then they'll start trashing cities all over the place.
7 seconds left. Westbrook, 5 seconds. They're down by 1. Gordon, got it! Aaron Gordon with a deep shot. Williams, three-quarter court, no good! The Nuggets steal game 1! That's a winner for Aaron Gordon!
Incredible. Down 1 in Oklahoma City, game 1 of the second round, the Nuggets and the Thunder, and you hear it, Aaron Gordon, a three-pointer. Instead of driving to the hoop, Westbrook kicks it out, and he nails that one, drains it, and they steal it as they get ready for game 2 coming up on Wednesday. 43 in Boulder, 45 in Highlands Ranch, 47 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
A storm system to our south will pump upslope winds into the Front Range today, tonight, and into early Wednesday, bringing more occasional chances of rain and thunder today, tonight, and tomorrow. Upper 40s to near 50 today with occasional rain, a little bit of thunder. Rain tonight, fog, lows near 40. Showers will continue Wednesday, highs near 60. Warming to the mid to upper 60s Thursday with a few showers, warmer for Friday and the weekend. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
So, Bill, I saw this in the little Denver protest Reddit.
Ooh, yeah, tell me.
There's a Mother's Day of Action protest down at the Colorado State Capitol. You know how I kind of point out that there's a protest just about every day in the state of Colorado?
Just about every day.
Donald Trump.
Every day, yes.
There's one on Mother's Day, literally one on Mother's Day from 2 to 6 p.m. down at the Colorado State Capitol. A day of action to support and recognize the injustices women are facing.
Yeah, here's the thing. That, maybe if your mom, was grew up in the age of Aquarius. And be like, hey, Mom, let's go relive your youth. Go on down there, ask her to bring out her best tie-dye. You guys can get each other's hair. Got some bells to the outfits. You can go down there and maybe sing some Peter, Paul, and Mary songs. It'd be kind of nice. It'd be good. So break out the Woody Guthrie. You could do that. It'd be kind of nice.
But if you're going to call your mom and go, hey, Mom, sorry, I can't swing by to hang out with you today. There's a protest downtown.
Yeah, that's not good. In fact, Jeff and I should go to the protest, and we should bring signs that says, Mom says go home and call her. That's what we really should do. That's what we should do.
That's right. So that's a stupid idea.
Yes. What's a good idea? What's something that people should take Mom to?
Great idea.
Please share.
The Black Eyed Pea of Colorado.
Oh, hell yeah. Because they are putting out the spread.
Yes.
This Mother's Day, they are just knocking it out of the park. They are going above and beyond what they even did, in my opinion, for St. Patrick's Day. They got a special recipe for St. Patrick's Day brisket. But they know that Mother's Day is the most popular restaurant day of the year, and they are not holding back. Tell us a little bit about what they're doing for moms this Sunday.
Exactly right, Bill. So here's what they got. Grilled salmon, hand-carved prime rib, the salmon and shrimp combo, and the chicken cordon bleu. Mom's sure to find a favorite with one of those. All entrees served with 2 sides, fresh baked rolls, and your choice of a featured dessert. So, I'm going to talk to the guys here a little bit, Bill.
Yeah, you got to do this.
Look, we suck at cooking.
We're so bad.
No, it just doesn't happen.
We also suck at Mom's Day ideas. I mean, how many of us are like, oh, crap, it's Sunday?
Yeah.
A lot of us there.
How about you take your mom to a great restaurant, festive atmosphere, affordable, healthy, good food. It's all taken care of you.
Yeah.
All right?
And the money you spend there stays in Colorado because they
Exactly
source
right.
their products from Colorado. They're Colorado owned and operated. The people working
Maybe
there.
not the shrimp. I
from
brought this
Colorado.
up with Steve and Michelle. Not the shrimp.
No. But the interesting thing is,
But everything else pretty
yeah,
much.
and the thing is, the weird part is that because of Colorado, where we're placed geographically in the country, you can get very fresh seafood, and they have sourced it properly to where this stuff has just landed on the plane at the tarmac a couple hours ago, and it's rushed over to all the Black Eyed Pea locations. This thing's cool.
They also got some great desserts. Cherry cobbler, peach cobbler, all served with ice cream. Come celebrate Mother's Day at the Black Eyed Pea, 10:30 a.m. this Sunday. And no matter what the occasion, Black Eyed Pea gift cards are always a great gift idea. I love everything about this restaurant. It's one of those few places you can go where the grandparents, us, and the kids all love the food, so you can transcend all those generations. I know you'll love it as well. Let them do the cooking for you. Help, love, and support your mother. Take her to the Black Eyed Pea this Sunday and keep it in Colorado. Visit the Black Eyed Pea near you. Yesterday was a rough day for some of us, Bill.
Oh, yeah? Why? What?
Including us, because we have some student loans.
Ooh.
And those kicked back on for the first time in 5 years yesterday.
Yes, they did. They did. Yeah, tell me about it.
43 million people that clicked back on yesterday. Look, it's just part of life. You take out a student loan, you got to pay it back. I don't disagree, but that clicked on the federal government on Monday, resuming collecting defaulted student loan payments from millions of people for the first time since the start of the pandemic. Now, ours wasn't default. It's just since the pandemic, they weren't collecting it. So unless you programmed it to pay itself, which you were allowed to do, and I think some people did, others just said, look, we'll wait this out. We'll see. Maybe Biden forgives it. Maybe it kicks back on, who knows, but we'll let it see. Well, yesterday it kicked back on, and you got to make your payments. The U.S. Education Department has not collected on loans since March of 2020. Of the nearly 43 million people who owe money, only a little more than a third have made regular payments. In the last 5 years, student loan has grown to $1.6 trillion, officials said. Education Secretary Linda McMahon said taxpayers would now be saved from shouldering that cost. American taxpayers will no longer be forced to serve as collateral for irresponsible student loan policies. The move comes after years of legal back and forth about loan forgiveness and at a time when advocates say student borrowers are stretched thin from inflation and growing concerns over the cost of living. So we took out loans to pay for law school. And so I kind of know a bit about the process. These are folks that will work with you in every capacity, right? If you don't make a lot of money, they'll defer those payments. They have a income-based repayment schedule.
Yeah.
Right? This is not there's no loan shark that's going to come kick in your door and beat your knees with a metal bat because you're not making. They will work with you to make it all up. So all that to say, there's no reason you can't make some form of repayment. And the idea that Biden was just going to wipe this all clean, right? This magical eraser that was just going to get rid of all this loan debt was never right, because they were going to have to offload the debt upon the American taxpayer, people who never signed up for this. I think a lot of people got scammed into paying a lot of student loans and taking on a lot of debt. I'm sorry that you got scammed into doing that. And if there was actual scamming out there, yeah, maybe hold those people accountable. But if you just believe that somehow you were going to go to college and assume $200,000 of debt, and then there's this wonderful job waiting for you afterwards, and now you're trying to make ends meet, and it's a struggle, I'm sorry, that's just life. You took out too much debt. You got to pay it back. Biden was wrong to ever even try to wipe this clean. And, a bunch of kids are growing up tomorrow and today as a result of having to pay back these debts. Bill, your thoughts?
Yeah, I can see why we're upset, but they talk about irresponsible student loan policies. But in my lifetime, I've seen irresponsible airline policies that crashed their industry, and I bailed them out. Didn't work for any of the airline industries at any point in time. I didn't even get a free ticket on any airline. I didn't even get some of those like junior pilot's wings you get when you're a kid and you get on the plane. Didn't even get those. And
I agree with you. Those bailouts drove me crazy.
And the auto industry, mortgage bailouts, auto industry,
Solyndra.
So the thing for me is that we've done all of this before. Now, the people at the bottom end of the ladder in many cases, and I would love to just have this means tested too. It'd be fine with me. But the idea that the people on the bottom end of the income ladder are the ones that are receiving the benefit, and now everyone's running around with their hair on fire. Oh, we can't possibly have the taxpayers. Dude, the people at Goldman Sachs and the big banks and the other investment companies nearly crashed the world economy.
I agree.
And then got their salaries and their bonuses for doing it. And that was with our money. Our money. And now I'm supposed to be upset that someone that got an underwater basket weaving degree from Nowhere University gets their student loans taken care of? Don't care. Because for me, and again, this is illogical, and for one of the few times that I'm going to be very, very illogical and be more emotional, for me, this is karmic balance. I'm fine with the people on the lower end of the economic scale getting bailed out by the government because they never get this kind of a bailout. It's always the people up top. It's always the people in the big companies and the big banks and the big airlines. It's never providing relief for those on the bottom. And so for this, yeah, I'm fine. Do I like the fact that we're doing more bailouts and stuff? No. But because we have these large-scale bailouts, and I'll tell you this, if we're going to bail out farmers right now, we're doing that. We're subsidizing egg producers we're sending checks to them. And they're farmers and they're workers, and that's fine. But we can't do it to someone based on their student loan. And that's the issue for me, is
why don't we just stop subsidizing all those people? I would agree with that.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah, and that's the part and that's fine. Is I can have that argument and that conversation about stop subsidizing all of those, and we can have that economic conversation, and I would be in favor of a lot of the end of the subsidies. But for me, if the automobile manufacturers collapsed, oh heaven forbid the EV market in this country collapsed with Tesla. Oh God, we bail them out in a second. Right now, the only reason Tesla is even profitable is because of carbon offsets. It's not because they're a good car company. They're losing money on that part of it. And so we bail out these companies all the time with tax money. And if the airlines got themselves sideways in the next 3 years, we'd be coming to the taxpayers to bail them out. So for me, because of our previous history of bailing out these large industries, fine. I will sign off. And if my taxes go up because of this, fine. I will deal with it. I'm not going to be happy about it. But for me, it seems like a little bit of balance in the entire system.
How much student loan debt do we have in America?
I don't know.
$1.7 trillion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, is there anything, though, that's on par with that? I mean, Tesla's not. Electric cars aren't spending $1.7 trillion.
And again, and I think I would, and if it was up to me, and it probably shouldn't be, for a wide variety of reasons, including I'm not that good at math, but if it was up to me, I would means test a lot of this. It's like with Social Security. I think one of the dumbest things that we do is don't means test Social Security at a level that we really should. It doesn't make any sense as far as where some of the money's going. And some of this means testing is that those individuals that are the lower income are the people that do need the support. Those people that are on the higher incomes don't necessarily need that support to make the loan payments, in my opinion. Is it fair? No. Nope. And I admit that at Jump Street, that if I was in charge of this, how I would make the decisions on whose loans were forgiven and whose weren't, nope. At the end of the day, it wouldn't be fair. I mean, and I'd be okay with that.
Okay, so with regards to that mean testing, you have granting, and grants are different than loans, right?
Yes.
So my wife grew up in a poor family.
Yeah.
And so she relied on grants to get a college education.
Yeah, Pell Grants and others.
Pell Grants and those types. And then she worked very hard to go get scholarships. And I will tell you, as somebody that worked for a university, there's a lot of scholarships that never go fulfilled because no one ever even fills out the form, right? So you have grants for those that are at the poorest level.
Yeah.
You have scholarships that are going unfulfilled, and then you just have people taking on crap load of debt, and and then they're not negotiating down interest rates. They're just accepting high interest debts from the federal government in some cases, not paying it off. That's accumulating, and then but at the end of the day, and I agree with you on subsidizing, but this is $1.7 trillion that some guy who never went to college, who works in a manufacturing job, is going to have to pay with higher taxes when they offset that. And that's not right.
But he would have to do offset, but he's going to end up paying higher taxes based on if we bail out other industries. And he paid higher taxes because we bailed out the auto industry and the airline industry. And that's the only thing for me is that why are those industries okay for the taxpayers?
I don't think they are. I don't think they are.
But we've said they are. And if the
dumb politicians have, but dumb politicians also wanted to offset this.
Yeah, and if the auto industry crashed tomorrow, we'd be bailing it out in a second. And that's the issue for me is that I look at the idea that what I have a problem with is the idea that finally the people on the lower income brackets are the ones that would see the large majority of the benefit from this and would see a ton of gain for not having that student loan payment taking out of their income. And again, it is means tested when they're talking about your payments, but to not make that payment is significant. And that could give a large group of people the ability to maybe raise their station in life, in part because, remember, the student loan out there can also be held when you're trying to get new car loans and when you're trying to get housing loans. And because that still is a debt and it's taken into account. And if you erase that monthly debt, how does that change the ability of someone who's struggling right now to possibly get into that first starter home or a starter condo? How does it change the ability of them to not drive an older car and maybe get into a newer model, something that would be more reliable? Could it be a family of two that has one car that could finally afford the payment on a second used car? Could they afford the extra childcare, the tutoring the kids need? Could they afford the braces? That's the issue. And so for me, the economic benefit derived from the people at the bottom, they can get a leg up. So I'm okay with it. I think it sucks. I think it hurts. And yes, taxes are going to go up. Am I cheering about it? No. But because of who it's going to benefit in the large majority of things, yeah. I would take the castor oil and I would say, finally, I feel like it's helping someone that I feel needs the help rather than the guy who's going to be getting a bonus from Goldman Sachs after crashing the economy.
I agree with you that bailing out those banks, bailing out the car industries was wrong and shouldn't have been done. But this is just perpetuating that. And there's plenty. There already exists lots of money to help means-tested people that don't have the money to be able to go to college. Writing off this debt puts that burden upon the taxpayer that never asked for this in the first place. Join that conversation, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line, 720-819-5115. And here's another question I had. This was something that Joe Biden ran 100% on, or Kamala Harris did. We're going to forgive student loans. We're going to forgive all that Donald Trump saying we're not going to do it. And youth kind of came over and supported Donald Trump. Are people now kind of rejecting the college scam out there? That maybe they shouldn't have been going in the first place. It's not right to jack up all these costs upon people. And they're not blaming the government. They're blaming colleges for this as well. Is college education worth it? Join the conversation, 303-696-1971. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
I'm John Pullen, Special Agent in charge with DEA's Rocky Mountain Field Division. I want to thank our federal and local partners for assisting us with an operation.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Student loans firing back up after a 5-year, or student loan repayments firing back up after a 5-year delay. COVID kind of set off those pauses. And then the debate over student loan, quote, forgiveness, which was just passing it on to blue-collar workers. Bill bringing up the point, look, we bailed out a lot of other things. What's wrong with bailing out these people? My argument, there's plenty of other ways to get money if you're low income. If you're assumed debt and you get a crummy degree and then you're going to offload that debt upon blue-collar workers, it's not fair. The other thing, too, question is college worth it? Is it worth all this debt that was accumulated? We're at $1.7 trillion of student loans in this country. Let's go to Mark in Westminster. Good morning, Mark. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Morning.
How you doing, you guys?
Good. Thanks for joining us. What's on your mind?
Good. Look, I think in some ways you're both right, but you know, who says the student loan people are crashing like the auto companies or the airlines? Some are doing well, some aren't. They made student loans non-dischargeable in bankruptcy. Why don't they let them make them dischargeable in bankruptcy and then let the individual decide, and it's means tested through bankruptcy, because they aren't all doing badly. Some are doing well. There's not this crisis in student loan. It was just a gift from Joe Biden to try to get votes for the student loan people. But I agree, there's some who should be, and it shouldn't be the worst thing, but student loans should never have been federally guaranteed. How many other loans are, you know?
That's a good point,
my
Mark.
thoughts on it.
I like that. I like the idea, and I do think that once the once the Fed started guaranteeing the student loans, it was an incentive to make bad loans, because you weren't going to lose the money, regardless. And I do like the idea. I love the idea. Now, here, just for a second, Mark, I love the idea of making student loans dischargeable through bankruptcy, because it solves our mean testing problem. That's actually great. I hadn't thought about that going further enough down the road, but I think you're right about that, man. Nice job.
Then it can be an individual thing, because some are doing quite well, some are doing horrible, and they've been in there. It was a bad decision. That's the whole reason bankruptcy is there, because people screw up. It's not for geniuses that bankruptcy is for the average person that has a reversal or a bad fortune, and this happens, and everyone knows that. Young people do. I do. You know, this can happen, and that way it can be individually uplifted and dealt with, rather than just saying we think everyone's bad. We want to give a grant or a gift or something. Not really a gift, because but anyway, something like that. Because I don't think it's a thing that this whole class of people is suffering, although, you know, there may be quite a few. That's all. And I think you both got some very excellent points. Thank you.
And
Have
I
a good
think,
day.
Mark, I appreciate that. And what I really like about Mark's call there is the idea, if you made it dischargeable based on bankruptcy, you'd have to justify the idea of why it should be discharged. Yeah. And it also would make it more discerning on the front end of the loan. So the person making the loan, that perhaps looking at the individual on what school they're going to go to and possible choice of area of study would also impact whether or not you'd write the loan. Because again, if you're a lender and you know the bank is going to pay back this loan regardless,
you give it to the basket weavers.
Yeah, how concerned are you of your individual applicant being able to process? And it could be, the person could be going for, they want to be an electrical engineer, but they may not have the background nor the ability, or you just look at it and go, oh boy, this person's already making bad decisions or in a situation where this isn't going to work out. You know, maybe they're on their fourth different college and failed out twice. Yeah.
I have never seen loans that bend over more backwards to try to help people.
Yes.
I mean, look, you miss a mortgage payment,
You're right, yeah.
you might get one, you might get away a little bit, but they're going to be on you quick. You miss a car payment, they're going to be on you. You miss a personal loan. This is like, oh, you're not making that money. Oh, well, it's okay. We'll delay it. They means test it. They put back a repayment system based upon your income. This is already a loan that bends over a lot.
It does. And we can, and some of that is because they know they're getting their money back. It's like taking a loan out from your wealthy grandma. Grandma loves you. She thinks you're cute. And as long as you're trying hard, she'll work with you. That's basically what it is.
That's a good one. All right, we'll continue. Frank, you're up next. Phone lines are open, 303-696-1971. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Student loans are being recollected. Now that started yesterday. There's kind of a 5-year delay on having to make those repayments. Started with COVID, and then the debate with Joe Biden and student loan forgiveness. Well, Donald Trump clicking it back on, and you got to write those checks back. Let's go to the phone lines. Frank, Denver. Good morning, Frank. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Morning, guys. You know, I don't know how long student loans have been going on, but I think it's 20 plus. But I'd like to see a little smarter thinking rather than just to make money for some big institutions and provide a loan, carte blanche, federally guaranteed. I think there should be a pairing of junior colleges or colleges with some trade schools such that students who didn't have the money could, say, go to school for 4 hours and work for 4 hours. Let's say a mechanical school that would teach autos. Because when I listen to Dave Ramsey, the two biggest things for these poor people trying to make it are no money for child care and no money for fixing up your car. So they could work for 4 hours in the auto trades to fix up and 4 hours for schooling. Same thing with home ec. A young girl that has a kid could babysit for 4 hours and go to school for 4 hours and offset and come out with very little debt, but yet still have an education that could provide them work.
You know, Frank, here's the interesting part, is that actually is a hybrid of that actually exists in Colorado right now for teachers. One of my daughters is involved in a program in a school district where she works part-time, well, most of the time, inside of the school, and then gets to take 2 classes a week outside of where she's working at the school, and she is paid by the school district for those hours as if she was at work. Plus, they subsidize her cost of tuition. So they kind of do the same thing where she's getting paid and it isn't a negative burden or a debit on her bank account for her to be able to chase the degree while she is still working for the school. And the school has seen enough benefit to go ahead and do that so far.
Well, and I think those hybrids have popped up because what I saw in the early 2000s when I was in grad school was people just taking out big loans. They'd have nice TVs, they had a nice car, all this stuff, and then they racked up all this debt. And I don't think it was wise, and I think they got to pay it back.
This would be on site, though, the babysitting school and or the car fixing school, so they could get them done right there while they're in school, and then come out and they're repaired, or the baby's there, or they work for 4 hours and offset their debt.
Yeah, there's a challenge school that is a magnet school that exists inside of the Cherry Creek School District that my youngest is going to be attending for part of the day next year, and it has to do with that. They have a lot of trades under there. She was offered the opportunity to go to their mechanics school this semester right now, and she was excited until she got into class and saw that she was one of 2 girls. And the person that is teaching the class said, listen, these guys are going to run over the top of you. You're going to have to be strong. You're going to have to do this. And she's like, I'm not going to deal with this. So she's gone into a different program, but part of the program, it is more focused on the trades, and she is going to be traveling to that magnet school next semester in order to have part of her day be focused on something that we would consider more of a blue-collar job. But yeah, they're doing that.
Point is, there's different ways to skin a cat rather than coming out with so much debt.
Yeah.
And part of the other problem, too, is because I worked at a university and we had to recruit students and all that stuff. Kids are expecting, when they go to college these days, like a Ritz-Carlton experience. They want a pool, and they want the nicest dorms, and they want, a food court with 18 different options in it and all this stuff.
It has to be gluten-free and vegan.
And so it's gotten out of hand. It's just gotten out of hand. This is a correction back. A lot of people don't need to go to college. You can have a perfectly fine life without having to go to college to begin with. So racking up all this debt for basket weaving so you can live in a Ritz-Carlton, it just wasn't worth it.
I just think they should teach financial education, too.
Oh, should they ever?
They need to teach that to our politicians.
Should they ever? Thank you so much for the call, Frank.
Call.
I think as a rule, we should make a rule that freshman dorms have to smell like stinky feet and old cheese.
That's exactly right.
Just mandatory. Yeah, you got to make through that first year. Then you can continue and get into nicer dorms. First year dorms, they got to suck. And hot water is only on for 2 hours a day. Just saying. Got to suffer a bit.
There you go. Bring him down a notch.
Yes.
All right, coming up, Brittany Pedersen has sent a letter to RFK asking him to maintain funding for those overdose reaction drugs. We'll get your thoughts on this and more. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
We are Denver's talk leader. This is 710 KNUS.
It is 9 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Tuesday, May 6, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned into the Jeff and Bill Show. News Talk 710 KNUS. I'm your co-host, Jeff Hunt, along with Bill Thorpe, bringing you the freshest insights, hottest takes from the right, left, and center. Brittany Pedersen weighing into federal funding issues. She's written a letter to RFK Jr. to maintain funding for the overdose, like reaction drugs, the Narcan that's used out there, saying that those types of drugs helped save her mother's life when she overdosed more than 20 times.
Wow.
And even overdosed 3 times in a single day.
Oof.
And it's called naloxone is one of them, but Narcan's another version of that. Should the federal government be paying this? And if somebody's overdosed 20 times, well, I'd be more interested in what actually got them finally free in the first place. And maybe that should be what's funded. Is it right for the government to fund this type of drugs when you have people overdosing 20 times? We'll talk about this and more. But now it's time for Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good morning. 47 and mostly cloudy in Denver on this Tuesday morning. Expecting a high of 53 today. The 7-10 5-day forecast coming up. Our top story starting tomorrow. You'll need a real ID to board a plane. NBC's Maggie, I thought we were doing that. Maggie Vespa says that means your driver's license or other state identification must be real ID compliant. Passports are acceptable.
They say if you don't have real ID or those compliant forms when you get to the airport, make sure you allow, they say, an extra time, possibly up to an hour or more for basically extra screening as everybody prepares to make this massive transition at airports across the country.
I guess I'm just out of touch.
I know.
I thought this is what we've been doing for 100 years.
I know. Yeah, dude, you're so right on this, Blake, because there's like a vast majority of us have been going through what is like the most invasive personal, analysis of everything about us. And some of us went and got the TSA pre-check, and that was a huge hassle in itself. I had to go to some random office park down in Castle Rock to get TSA approved. And now they're just like, oh, yeah, by the way, do you know you needed the real ID? I guess Colorado's been real ID compliant for quite some time. So if you've had a driver's license here in Colorado, you're okay. But then,
what were people just showing up with sheets of paper or what?
Dude, I've always been a little intrigued by the people that climb into the wheel wells and try to fly that way. Do you know those stories?
Yes.
And then they end up like either freezing to death or getting squished, or they just fall out of the plane at some point.
So you don't need an ID for that?
It's like the Afghanis trying to catch the last helicopter out of Saigon.
I mean, we all Keith Olbermann. We don't know how to drive, and we don't have any ID, or what is going on? I mean, it feels like I just landed here from Mars, and and the reporter's like, it's a big day. DMVs are swamped. I mean, just what? Like you said, we've all been interrogated for 2-3 decades.
Since 9/11,
yeah, since 9/11.
Remember when the shoes, and then your little bottle of shampoo is 1 ounce too much.
Right.
We got to throw it away.
Jeez, man. Evidently, we've been living in the wrong place. I mean, people were just walking through.
Do you remember the Colorado lawmakers that were carrying guns through TSA?
Oh, yeah.
They ended up getting arrested. I think that was Rory. I forget her name.
Yes, I remember that story, though. Absolutely. Yeah, it's just funny.
Have you ever seen those pictures from TSA when they're like, people brought grenades through? You're like, really? Like, who are these people that don't have an ID and are bringing grenades through it on airplanes?
God, this is just crazy, man. All right, here we go. The Department of Homeland Security says $1,000 will be paid to illegals, as Jeff and Billy were talking about, who self-deport using a government app. I like this idea. The department says the funds are a way for those in the country illegally to facilitate travel back to their home country, and payments will be made after their return has been confirmed through the CPB Home app. Maybe Alejandro Mayorkas could chip in and pay some of it back, since he just, he let the floodgates open up and acted like he lost his vision for 4 years. Total freak show. And then there's activist Biden-nominated Judge Jamal Whitehead orders the DJT administration to take in roughly 12,000 refugees to continue the absolute chaos.
Everything starts and ends with warriors from training to the battlefield. We are leaving wokeness and weakness behind.
Patriotism may be dead on the left, but not on the right. Recruitment is up in the military, thanks in part to Pete Hegseth and DJT.
No more pronouns, no more climate change obsession, no more emergency vaccine mandates, no more dudes in dresses. We're done with that shit.
I cut it out. Yeah. Let's go.
We're focused on lethality, meritocracy, accountability, standards, and readiness.
I am your sergeant, your senior drill instructor, your mama and your papa. I will watch over you every minute. I will be your whole world from now on.
That's Sergeant Carter. Now, another Carter, Jason Carter, Jimmy Carter's grandson, and Charles Blow, great last name for him because he does. Educated by Scott Jennings, again, on CNN.
There is a concerted effort going on right now at the Pentagon, and it's already successful, to enhance recruitment and to enhance pride and the idea of joining the military. I think you all are discounting the idea that a national parade for our military to show off our military, to show pride in the veterans that have defended this country, and you all are mad about
the veterans. He was just trying to rename Veterans Day.
I'm super proud of our military, but I don't think we should waste money. I think that the worst thing for morale that I've seen is Pete Hegseth as the defense
secretary. That's the worst thing you've seen?
For morale?
The literal worst thing you've seen?
I think pretty much. I mean, it's embarrassing. If you want to embarrass people...
Talk to a rank and file military person. They'll tell you the wet blanket is off.
Oh, keep on digging that hole. Speaking of lefties.
This is not some type of wrongful conviction. There was very clear evidence. Tina Peters was very forthright with what she did.
That's Queen Grizzy. Tried everything to keep DJT off the ballot. You'll remember that in Colorado last summer. Says that DJT's latest motion is unprecedented. 47 wants former Mesa County election clerk Tina Peters to be released from prison.
She was a county clerk, someone elected to protect the county's elections, who instead let in unauthorized people to have access to her voting equipment to try to prove the big lie.
Lauren Boebert, she got it all going last night, and then the president took to Truth Social and said that he wants the DOJ to get her out of prison as soon as possible.
7 seconds left. Westbrook, 5 seconds. They're down by 1. Gordon got it! Aaron Gordon with a deep shot. Williams, three-quarter court. No good. The Nuggets steal game 1. That's a winner for Aaron Gordon.
Boy, they sure did steal it. What a comeback by the Nuggets in Game 1 against the Thunder, 121-119 in the second round. Game 2 in OKC tomorrow. 43 in Superior, 45 in Englewood, 47 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue.
He's coming to see me. I'm not sure what he wants to see me about, but I guess he wants to make a deal.
We'll see. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
A storm system to our south will pump upslope winds into the Front Range today, tonight, and into early Wednesday, bringing more occasional chances of rain and thunder today, tonight, and tomorrow. Upper 40s to near 50 today with occasional rain, a little bit of thunder. Rain tonight, fog, lows near 40. Showers will continue Wednesday, highs near 60. Warming to the mid to upper 60s Thursday with a few showers, warmer for Friday and the weekend. Weather sponsored by Colorado's Best Roofing, reminding you to protect your home from the harsh Colorado weather and schedule your free no-obligation roof inspection today at roofingcolorado.com. That's roofingcolorado.com. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Bill, I got to take a moment of personal privilege here.
Yes, sir.
I want to wish a very happy anniversary to my parents.
Oh, that's wonderful.
47 years today.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
They've built a great partnership, successful
that's wonderful.
family, successful business together.
Yeah.
They did it right. Very inspirational to the rest of us. So Happy
that's wonderful.
47 years to my parents.
That is so wonderful. Happy
5. They got
47
married on
to the
5,
Hunts.
6, 7, 8.
Oh, that's nice.
May 6, 1978.
Oh, that's really cool. 5, 6, 7, 8.
Quincy, Illinois.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Every time I think about those long-term anniversaries, I'm reminded of a stand-up comedian that I heard a number of years ago, and he talks about going to the 50th anniversary for his grandparents, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, and this is great." And he eventually, has some time. He sits down with Grandpa and says, "So, Grandpa, you've been married with Grandma for like 50 years now. It's like, what's the secret to a long, very happy marriage?" And he says, 1, because you really have to care for each other. 2, you have to understand there are going to be disagreements over the course of the marriage. 3, don't own a gun. and again, he said Grandpa was being facetious, but he was like, yeah. And the idea is, and the thing is that my wife and I have this thing that we do that every once in a while, when we're having some sort of a disagreement in the house, either she or I will turn to our right or left, about 45-degree angle, and look up a little bit and go, "And Your Honor, that is why I had to shoot them." Yes, just to break the tension. Yes, but congratulations to the Hunt family. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
That is impressive.
47 years.
Wow, amazing.
Today. That's great.
It was incredible.
All right, want to talk Brittany Pedersen. She has sent a letter to RFK Jr. asking to maintain funding for naloxone. Invokes mom's opioid battle. This is the Denver Post reporting here. U.S. Representative Brittany Pedersen, she represents the district on kind of the western side of Denver, so think Lakewood, Colorado, implored U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. not to slash funding for naloxone in a letter to Colorado. In a letter the Colorado Congresswoman sent on Monday. The medication has proven extremely effective in stopping opioid overdoses, a leading cause of death among young people. The Lakewood Democrat personalized her letter, which was shared with the Denver Post ahead of it being sent to Kennedy. So she sent it to the press first. By invoking the traumatic experience her mother went through, battling a decades-long addiction to pain pills after suffering a back injury. In 1 year alone, my mom overdosed more than 20 times and even overdosed 3 times in a single day. But she is one of the lucky ones, Pedersen wrote. Time and time again, she was administered naloxone, and eventually she was finally able to receive the treatment she needed. The Congresswoman asked for a meeting or phone call with the Cabinet Secretary to discuss how to best help people survive this epidemic and get into recovery. So naloxone, or I forget the name of the other version. Narcan.
Yeah.
The other version of it, it's kind of like, have you ever seen the videos of this stuff work?
Yes.
It's crazy. It like snaps them out of it immediately.
It's like the Pulp Fiction.
Right.
That's what it is. First time I saw it, I'm like, this is Pulp Fiction. This is the whole thing with the stabby thing and getting through the breastplate. It's like, wait, I got to stab him 3 times. No, we got to stab him. Okay, I know the whole scene, but yeah, that's what it's like. I understand where Brittany's heart is at, and I do, in many ways, agree that we should be continuing to look at these opportunities to help people that are in these situations, because if you have to deal with someone in your family or someone that you know that is in the throes of drug addiction like this, yeah, I've got a heart for that. So yes, we should make this as easy as possible to administer, and we should be. But the idea that we hand it out, and that's where I break with Brittany and people that are more on her side. The idea that everyone should be walking around with it in your pocket. That if you're going to go browse along the 16th Street Mall, you better be willing and able to revive a drug addict. That if you're going to go down to Coors Field, coming out after the game, it may be a wonderful loss for the Rockies. Again, notice I'm assuming they're going to lose, because that's what the Rockies do. After the loss for the Rockies, you're going to walk outside and you're going to have to revive somebody who's passing out and possibly going to swallow their tongue and go into cardiac arrest. So no, I have a heart for those people, and if you want to do that, that's okay. But the idea that it is all of our responsibility, as a community, we should try to keep these people safe. But no, I'm totally against her, the idea of safe drug injection sites.
Right, that was the other thing I was going to bring up.
Yep, that's the thing that I think is totally unneeded, unnecessary, and ridiculous. You need to get these people into treatment programs. If Brittany's mom not if, we know that she did, overdose 3 times in one day. What Brittany's mom needs more than anything else is a treatment program. And yes,
serious intervention.
Yep, the Naloxone and the Narcan can help. And yes, it did save her life. But you know what's going to make her, what's going to save her life tomorrow? And the day after that, and the day after that? Treatment.
Yeah.
It's very easy.
Because
that's the way to save the life.
I think what's making us uncomfortable about this is you're putting average people in this place of having to deal with some other person's bad decision.
Yeah. Yep. And that you now have to make the right decision.
And then you make them feel guilty about having to deal with it. So, for instance, like let's just say you have like a series of car accidents always happening.
Oh,
like you're going to walk around downtown, you're going to have to deal with car accidents.
Yeah.
Therefore, you should have, I don't know, you should carry blood with you.
Yes, there we go.
Or a mask to do CPR.
Or a triage kit. You got to have a
triage kit. You got to carry this triage kit because,
you.
and you're sitting there going, well, why are these cars? Why? I don't.
Yeah.
Like, I understand you want to help somebody, right? Somebody's dying on the street. Well, I want to save their lives.
Yeah.
But why is it on me to have to deal with these people's bad decisions all the time? And is this the right response? If you remember, Kyle Clark was kind of guilting everybody into carrying Narcan around all the time. You should buy it. You should carry it. You're going to be, and you're just kind of like, well, now I'm in the position of having to deal with somebody else's bad decision all the time, and you're going to make me feel guilty if I don't step in to help. But can we go upstream a little bit to the reason why this person's making the bad decision in the first place? And then you also have, as you mentioned, Brittany Pedersen garnered the nickname Heroin Barbie because she wanted to do supervised injection sites. And that turned out to be bad. But the other thing I want to bring up on this, Bill, is like opioid deaths are going down. And I've talked to the DEA guys about it.
Yeah.
And a big part of it is we're actually enforcing borders.
Yeah,
so,
that does help.
That it's a component of it. It's not all of it. I mean, you could still make fentanyl here, but a lot of that was coming up through Mexico. So when Joe Biden finally started to take that more seriously, then you started to see these overdose deaths go down. So my question is, do we need the supervised injection sites? Do we need to have taxpayers funding Narcan and these types of drugs? Or do we need to get upstream of the problem and start dealing with it there?
Let me talk to you about this. Let's talk about, and this, again, an inelegant and inaccurate analogy, but let's talk about the power of a sign. And what I mean by that is just putting a sign up on a fence post as far as the power there of what that sign can tell people about a location or a place. And where I'm going with this is, let's just say that maybe down at Washington Park, there in Lake Grassmere, a bunch of people have let go a bunch of baby gators. And now they've grown up, and now they're big gators. And those gators, when we get people swimming in Grassmere, they're eating people. Now, we could go down there and start a safety prevention program where we have a bunch of people there at the shore ready to fight off the gators when the people are in there. But you know what else we're going to do? We're going to put up a sign that says, don't get in the water, gator gonna eat ya. And that's kind of the issue, is that I feel that where Brittany's coming from in many ways is the idea that we just need more lifeguards standing at the edge of that pond. No. One, we need to tell everybody there are gators in there. Then we need to deal with gators. And we need to deal with why the person is trying to get into the lake with the gators. And someone's like, I just love the gators. I love to give me hugs. No. Stop it. We need to help you and realize the gators aren't your friend. Again, inelegant analogy. But when we know there is something in danger and there's something, a behavior that can put someone in danger or can cause death, we try to prevent the behavior and get treatment for it. We don't have everybody else stand around and say, wait, when this person makes the bad decision, all of us better be ready to leap in and to save them. That's not the way that we need to go about, and it's not the social contract. It's not what we, as a society, agree to as the base social contract when we agree to govern ourselves this way. It's not what we agree to.
Great point, Bill. I agree with you on that. All right, phone lines are open. Join the conversation. 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line 720-819-5115. Have you had a family member die of an overdose? Have they been saved by Narcan? Do you think that taxpayers should be funding this because it saved a member family member's life? Or do we need to hold people to higher responsibility and get upstream of this issue? Give us a call. Would love to talk with you. While Bill and I may disagree a lot, we agree on this, and we also agree on the good people of Advanced Hair Restoration. If you are losing your hair and desire to have it back, guys, let's talk. Let's get it fixed. Advanced Hair Restoration has the easiest guaranteed solution. Their simple one-day treatment offers life-changing results. I've seen it with my own eyes. Guys, it's not magic, but close to it. They put hair where you need it the most. Bam. It grows. It's actually science. Advanced Hair has it all. Top-rated Dr. Tanya Pauls, modern technology, and best of all, you get your own natural hair that begins regrowing the very next day. Advanced Hair even guarantees it will grow for life. So schedule your free consultation now at 720-459-HAIR. 720-459-HAIR. If you qualify, you get $250 off and 250 free hair grafts. Advanced Hair is the winner of Westward's Best of Denver and has changed the lives of tens of thousands of people. So don't wait. Check out the before and afters online for yourself, 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. Again, the phone number, 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com. That's advancedhair.com. We're talking Brittany Pedersen has asked RFK to maintain funding for naloxone, invoking her mom's opioid battle. Funding for overdose medication is in jeopardy as Trump administration mulls cuts to health programs. Is this where we need to be spending taxpayer dollars? We'll get to your phone calls and more. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Somebody pointed out on the text messages, man, we're just going through all of Brittany's family.
Yeah.
Her son makes an appearance as something to talk about. Now it's her mother, Brittany Pedersen, invoking her mother's opioid battle as a reason to maintain funding for naloxone, which is an overdose prevention medication that kind of stops it from taking place, very similar to Narcan. And she wants the federal government to continue to pay for that. Is Brittany right on these issues? I mean, she wanted a supervised injection site. At one point, she garnered the nickname Heroin Barbie.
Yeah.
So, she right about this? Should we continue to fund it? Should we guilt everybody like Kyle Clark did to carry Narcan around with him? Let's go to the phone lines. Man. Christian in Fort Collins. Good morning, Christian. You're on the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yeah, morning, Christian.
Morning. So one thing that I didn't hear you guys mention that a lot of people don't know is when that is administered, it generally drops the opioid from their system almost instantaneously. And a lot of these people, when it's administered in the field, they come out of their high and they're pissed. And they can be very combative. So, yes, it can save their life, but at the same time, they could come out of it very pissed at you, and it could be a violent situation that you're putting yourself in. I did order some of the free stuff that was offered by the state. Well, obviously not free, but the state provided a couple of years ago. And that was because there was the reports that there was laced dollar bills and stuff that people were putting on the road and everything. And I've got a kid at home. And so that was more for my own family's safety if something were to happen.
Oh, and also the idea, depending on age of your child, the child could, be getting some pill from a friend and not know that it was mixed with fentanyl or something else. And so then you would have a need for it, not because your child was necessarily a hardcore user, nor taking advantage of Brittany Pedersen's safe drug injection sites that she wanted. It could just be a kid experimenting with something. And as, friend of the show and former KNUS talk show host Stephen Tubbs has shown, that single pill, that single experimentation can turn deadly. So I would get it, man. I would get it. Yeah, I understand.
Narcan's running $45 on Amazon for 2 doses, so it's not cheap.
The random person that you come across that's having an overdose, you're potentially asking for trouble there. But if it's a family member or somebody that recognizes you that would come out of it and be grateful, that's a different story.
Well, Christian, I want to ask you this. In the story and in the letter that Brittany Pedersen sent to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., she details the fact that her mother overdosed 20 times, including 3 times in one day. Now, I sit there and I just kind of go, whoa, like, what as a family do you need to do to get upstream of that? Like, if we're expecting taxpayers to pay for the money that keeps you from crossing over and dying, right? You're at that moment where you're about to die, and then the mom tried to overdose 3 times in one day. I'm going, we got to get upstream of this thing. There's some serious problems that need to be addressed that are a lot different than just keeping her alive when she tries to kill herself in 3 straight days, 3 times in one day.
Yeah, so the downside there of having Narcan or similar substance in the house is somebody could be brought out of a OD at home and not seek any further treatment beyond that. And so they would potentially still be in the house where they have the fentanyl or whatever opioid caused the overdose and go right back to it.
Right.
But that's obviously a pandemic or epidemic of opioids and fentanyl that we have in our system, and also addictions that are out there. And humanity has suffered with different types of addictions for all of humanity, basically.
Yeah.
So then you're talking about, well, how do you address the addictions? And
isn't that the hard part,
question,
Christian? Isn't that the really, really hard part, that I think as a society, rather than dealing with the addiction, looking at some of the core problems and having the person do the hard work, our friends at Step Denver talk about the hard work to get homeless men off the streets of Denver and get them working, that it is a difficult process. And because it is so difficult, do you think maybe, Christian, that as a society, we prefer the easy mode? We prefer the idea of Narcan, that we will sell that to our society as a larger portion, saying, we understand that friends, family, even people in your neighborhood may be addicted to drugs, but rather than getting the treatment and helping them do the hard work, take this. And then you don't have to feel as responsible. I understand that you took it and brought it into your family because you were responsible for everybody under your roof, and I think that's incredibly admirable. But do you think that as a society, we are selling to ourselves that, no, we can ignore someone's addiction, we don't have to worry about the treatment, because instead we have the easy button to bring them out of it?
Absolutely. It's the exact same thing with gun control. They don't want to address the elephant in the room, which is mental illness in our society, and they want to make believe that they can eliminate weapons from our society. Anything can be a weapon. So you eliminate one type of weapon, you're going to have other weapons. Anybody that has a mental illness that wants to cause harm to other people, they'll find a way.
Yeah, or cause harm to themselves.
Well, and I think we have the safety net that it's never going to get so bad, and it requires at a certain point personal responsibility. We talk about this with Step Denver all the time. Until there's actually desire to heal and to take responsibility for your problems, it's just going to continue. And when we provide these services, this is where I'm torn on this, right? Because I don't want someone to die in front of me, but if I just keep resurrecting them and they go right back to the drug, like Brittany Pedersen's mom did 3 times in one day, well, what am I doing? At a certain point, get control of yourself.
Okay, now I got to pause this just for a second, Christian, because one, we have Christian on the air with us. Jeff and I both strong of faith, and Jeff actually studying, theology for some while. Just the term, we had to keep resurrecting them. I'm just saying, I love that.
There you go.
I just love that,
Christian. I appreciate it. Great call. Thanks so much,
you.
Christian from Fort Collins. His line's open 303-696-1971. Look, whether you pulled your skis or snowmobiles out this last winter, it was a great year for winter fun, but the snow means even more to Colorado agriculture, and I want you to know that our state's farmers and ranchers are doing their part to protect our future water resources. The people of Colorado agriculture always have conservation, efficiency, and reuse top of mind when it comes to water use. As the metro area continues to grow, Colorado Farm Bureau leads talks with state policymakers about preserving water for all areas of the state as pressure on the water system grows. It's going to take all of us to find a solution. My friends at the Colorado Farm Bureau are leaders in water conservation and water policy. They understand how to balance water for crops and water for families, and they're doing more with less. You can do your part. Support these great people that are working to provide good quality water policy for the state of Colorado, and go to coloradofarmbureau.com. That's coloradofarmbureau.com to join them today. All right, Bill, did you see this list on King Soopers?
Yes, I did. And honestly, because I shop King Soopers, I'm kind of like,
I was going to say.
It.
Yeah.
And there are a number of King Soopers that I, based on where I've lived, that I'm like, oh, did I ever shop at these? Are these ever ones that I had frequented? So, yeah, I was really concerned about it.
Headline coming from Fox 31, Denver Metro grocery stores ranked among worst in the nation.
Oof.
Spend enough time in Denver and you'll soon hear unflattering nicknames for some of the grocery stores in the Denver metro area, they write. And thanks to an analysis of 3,000 grocery stores across 100 U.S. cities, it's easy to see why 2 Denver metro grocery stores were ranked among the top 10 worst grocery stores in the nation. And 6 grocery stores in Denver alone are noted in the top 50. Denver's grocery stores' woes have grown in the past year, according to the report published by an organization called Solitaire. Last year, there was only 1 store with a Denver address that ranked among the top 10 worst grocery stores. This year, there are 2 in the top 10 and 6 in the top 50. We're going to tell you exactly where these are next. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. We're talking two items this hour. One, Brittany Pedersen asking RFK Jr. to maintain funding for naloxone, invokes her mom's opioid battle, saying, we got to keep the government funding for this. It's saving lives. My mother overdosed 20 times, even overdosed 3 times in a single day. Wow. Billy and I both going, I think we need to get upstream of this issue, deal with personal responsibility as opposed to just constantly reviving people and using government funds to pay for that. Let's go to Paige in Denver, and then we'll get to the King Soopers issue here in a second.
Good morning,
Paige, good morning.
Good morning. With regards to personal responsibility, if your mother is overdosing 3 times in one day, let it go on. Just like in the skiers, you're not supposed to ski out of bounds. So they buy these kits that let them know if they're caught in an avalanche. And then we spend hundreds of thousands of dollars rescuing them. They know what the dangers are. Let them be responsible. I'm sick of everybody intervening to take care of irresponsible people.
Now, here's the funny thing.
That the adrenaline rush is more important than anything.
Here's the crazy thing, Paige. I'm certain that there have been times you've been listening to the show and you've been thinking, oh my gosh, Bill's got such a bleeding heart. Why is he looking at it this way? This is ridiculous. He doesn't see the world the right way. There are portions of this when you're talking about people and their own personal decisions where I actually hearken back to George Carlin. And George Carlin, the famous comedian, one time says, the kid that eats too many marbles doesn't grow up to have more kids. And that's part of this natural selection. And as rough as that is, I have seen in my own life people that will do anything they can to avoid and refuse the help. And they will continue the spiral no matter what lifeline or what support you give them, because that's their choice. That's what they want to do, and they're that self-destructive. And as hard as it is to see, sometimes that's just going to be their own personal choice, just like you said.
And why do we keep rescuing them?
Yeah. It's a hard reason. And part of it is, if it's someone in your family, you're like, because you love them. But it's more difficult to say that I need to have, and let's just do the drug example, that you can say you're helping someone in your own family, even like Brittany Pedersen's mom, and you have the Narcan, the Naloxone around so that you can help her when she's going through the drug overdoses. But saying that the best way to help my mom is to set up a taxpayer-funded site so that she can go there and do drugs with medical professionals, I disagree with. I think in that point, we are asking the society to enable the behavior rather than to help them break the addictive cycle. And I got a problem when society wants to enable the addiction.
I have a problem when society enables people to take unconscious risks and know that they will be saved, whatever it is, whether it's drugs, whether it's sports, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I just think that it's not fair to normal people who think before
you're
they
right.
act.
You're right. Paige, and I appreciate the phone call. And I think you got a great point just a couple of days ago. I don't know if you heard and you listened to us early in the morning with You Choose the News. We had a story coming out of Japan, in China, where a guy had tried to climb a mountain, got lost, had to be rescued, forgot his phone on the mountain, went back 4 days later, had to be rescued a second time. Made a decision to go back to where he was and got rescued again. Yeah, that's dumb decision making.
I climbed Mount Rainier one time, and we were talking to guys, because Mount Rainier's right outside Seattle, so you get these people that climb it all the time. They're totally inexperienced.
You know, that is the only North American rainforest.
Oh, yeah, I believe it.
Yeah,
it's
the only one.
Super wet up there.
It's amazing.
This guy had climbed up and called 911, because you can reach 911 from the top of that mountain. Called 911, needed help. Rescuers went up there, and he's just sitting there with his little blinking light on. And they get to them, and he's like, what do you need help with? He goes, I'm just really hungry. So they gave him 2 granola bars and left.
Oh,
Get your own butt down. All right.
That's awful.
Bill.
Yeah.
Worst rated grocery stores.
Yeah, where
in the
are
top
they?
10,
we had a number
only
of them.
one city has 2 of them, and that's the city of Denver.
Ah, jeez.
Okay.
In the top 10.
Washington, D.C. only has 1. Okay. Seattle only has 1. Minnesota only has 1. Milwaukee only has one, or St. Paul only has one. Milwaukee, Cleveland, they all only have one. We've got two in Denver.
Saying we're overachieving.
Overachieving on the worst list.
Great.
All right.
That's wonderful.
So
Where are we?
Mark Crowley came in, who's a former cop.
Yep.
Denver PD came in and was like, I bet you I can know which one. He did.
Really?
He did.
Really?
Yep.
What one? What's the top rated one that we got?
Number 2 worst supermarket.
So it's number 2. That's where we come in.
In the nation.
We come in at number 2.
Number 2. The only one above
dude.
us, I know this one, is in Washington, D.C. It's a Safeway, and all the girls refer to it as the unsafe way. So do not go to the unsafe way by yourself.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, number 2 in the nation, worst grocery store, King Soopers, Green Valley Ranch Boulevard in Denver.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that is.
Do you know which one that is?
Yeah.
I gotta Google map that real quick and see which one it is.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, that's a sketchy one.
There it is.
Yeah, that's sketch.
Green
that's one that's. Yeah.
Ranch Boulevard. I'm trying to see where.
That would be one that I would think twice about. Yeah, walking in.
Okay, so
dark.
I-70, E-470. Oh, interesting. This one's up by the Gaylord Rockies?
Yeah, kind of that out. Yeah. That one's a little weird because of where it is and just who frequents it. Yeah, that's a little weird.
That one doesn't seem like that would be the worst one. I've seen some down off of Colfax that I thought would be worse. Okay.
Oh, yeah. And that's number 2. Jeez.
That's number 2 in the nation. All right. The other one is the Safeway off of East 20th Avenue in Denver. That's number 7 worst in the nation.
Jeez. I don't know the one off East 20th. That's one I'm unfamiliar with.
All right. Safeway, Presbyterian St. Luke's.
Oh, okay, the one near Press St. Luke's. Okay, then I do. Okay, then I do know that one. But that I wouldn't have placed that one there. There are some that, as you saying, there are some that are downtown. There's some of those.
I'm not going in there.
Yeah, the ones off down 13th and stuff like that.
Okay, this is off of Downing and 20th Park Ave up there near Presbyterian St. Luke's.
Okay, I can see that one. Yeah, I can see that being a little bit. But I never had any real experience there.
Okay,
that's interesting.
So if you go to the worst ranked among customer service.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah. What is that?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the top 10.
No.
Yes.
5 in the top 10?
And 4 of them are King Soopers, 1 Safeway. It's the King Soopers off Quebec Street in Denver. It's number 4, worst in the nation, according to customer service. The King Soopers off of Green Valley Ranch, that same one. Number 6, worst customer service in the nation. Then we're 7, 8, and 10. King Soopers, Spear Boulevard, King Soopers, Chestnut Place, and then Safeway off of South Downing Street in Denver.
Yeah, I've gone to the Spear Boulevard Kings a number of times, and if you work there, my apologies, but basically it's self-service. It's like, yeah, whatever. and the idea, and sometimes the people that are working the checkout believe that you being there is an inconvenience to their day. That even though they're sitting there and their job is to make the stuff go beep and put it on the little conveyor belt, they still view that as you have disrupted their opportunity to scroll or just stare off into space. And so you are the problem as the customer. Yeah, I've experienced that one quite a bit. Yeah, they're not that friendly.
I think a lot of people are starting to use the delivery and the online ordering, right? We don't use delivery. We use the online ordering.
I hate both of those.
We just roll up. Right, and then throughout the week, my wife just adds it to the app. Oh, we have a list on our refrigerator, and she just adds it to the app, and then she'll say, "Hey, on your way home, can you just swing by Walmart? The order's ready," and we just pull up and put it in the back of the cart. Oh, so I don't even really go in anymore.
Oh, I can't do that. I will. Okay, this is how hardcore I go. Like today, I got to go get grapes. I need grapes, so I'm going to look for the ones that are on sale. But I'm going to be in the produce section, and I will pick up the bag. I will rotate the bag around to look at them, and then I'm making my own bag of grapes. I will disassemble a couple of bags, and I will assemble my own bag and put them back in.
You're allowed to do that?
No one's ever told me no. So yes. Yes, I will take other bags of grapes apart and assemble my own.
Stealing?
No. Yes, I will do that. Assemble my own good bag of grapes. I'm that freak in the store. That's me.
But you do judge customer service.
Yes, I do. Oh, God, yes, I do.
All right. Yeah. Bill's going to be out tomorrow. It's only because it's his birthday. Text and wish him a happy birthday. We'll be back. You're listening to Jeff and Bill Show.
Thank you so much, my friend. This is KNU.